Morning, Raptor fans. Alexiot's here. Sunday morning, we just beat the Portland Trailblazers last night in a great win on the second night of a back-to-back. That is. You know what? I have a new theory about second nights of back-to-backs. There's something weird going on with them right now. Seriously. Because think about all the games that we've had in the last month against teams that were on their second night of the back to back, and they did not seem tired. They seemed actually energized and came in and were like the team that didn't play the night before. Well, this happened for us last night. We came into Portland and it didn't seem like we were the team on the second night of back to back. They had not played since Wednesday, the Portland Trailblazers last night. And we had played on Friday night against Golden State. And we came to Portland, traveled overnight. It was late at night when we got in there. I was really annoying. And we still came into this Portland Trailblazers game last night like we were the team that was rested for two or 3 days. And they looked like the other team. Now, there's something weird about that. Like, is it actually good to play the second night of a back to back or to play 2 days in a row? Is it because you get in a rhythm, because of your body's already kind of, you already got good vibes because your team's working well together? There's all kinds of different reasons why the team that is on the second night of the back to back is playing better than the rested team. And that in some ways, when they gave us this schedule this season and they said, oh, the Raptors have an easy schedule because they play so many games against people on the second night of a back to back. I don't know. It makes you wonder, seriously. It's in some ways, I don't know if there's an advantage anymore being the team that isn't playing the second night on the back to back. That used to be something, but I don't think it is anymore. In fact, I think that there's advantages to being the team that has to play the second night on the back to back that kind of make up for the disadvantages. So it's very, very weird at this stage and in this point in the history of the NBA. There are very strange things afoot and happening. Yeah, last night a fun game with a lot of character. A lot of character in this game last night against Portland. Literally, Will Ferrell sitting next to the Raptors bench last night and being an antagonist, even if in a funny, silly way. Yes. I'm telling you, this game against Portland was star-studded. We had Will Ferrell yelling at Scottie Barnes and Bo Cruz from the sidelines sitting there. It's hilarious. They announced Will Ferrell's at the game, and he stands up and he's like getting everybody going. And then he just stands there and stares down the Raptors bench. This is some of the funniest stuff that you can't write this kind of comedy gold. And then you add in the fact that Matt Devlin's calling the game. It's too bad it wasn't a TSN game. We would have had Jack Armstrong there also. And there would have been some funny stuff about Ron Jeremy. Yeah, there would have been some really funny comments about Ron Jeremy. There were a little bit that Matt Devlin said. But of course, he's with Alvin last night, which is great because Alvin's a great person to call the game in Portland, having played in Portland. And also just Alvin being Alvin, man. I don't disrespect Alvin. I'm just love that he's just announcing for our team. But last night would have been funny if Jack had been there too, just because of Will Ferrell. I kept wanting to see if he was continuing to interact with the Raptors bench during the game because I wanted to see because he was sitting so close. He practically was sitting next to the end of the bench. And I just got to wonder how much interaction was happening between the Raptors and Will Ferrell during the game. Like, was there little funny shit talking going on? Like, did he say dumb things to them and they said dumb things back? Like, did Scottie give him the smoke, like verbally from the bench at one point? He's like, shut up, Will Ferrell, sit down, you goofy ass, or something like that. Was that going on? I want to know. This is where we really should have had somebody mic'd. Yeah, if you're gonna have like Herder and DiVincenzo mic'd in the last couple games, we should have had somebody mic'd for the Raptors last night. There would have been some comedy gold with Will Ferrell sitting next to the court. Ron Harper Jr. once again, because of his connection to his father, probably knows Will Ferrell, being such a huge Lakers fan, Will Ferrell is, that I'm sure that he was around the Lakers team when Ron was on the team with Kobe winning championships, and that Ron Harper Jr. may have met Will Ferrell at a younger age already. This is just what happens when you're Ron Harper Jr. You probably already know Will Ferrell, even though he's heckling you from the side there. Just want to talk about this more to talk. Let's see what you guys are talking about with this great game last night. A fantastic victory by the Raptors, a really dominating win that when we realized when we showed up and that Nurkic was wearing some fancy pink European suit or something. I don't know what the hell he was wearing. It looked like he had his little Nana's picture in his little necklace thing there. Nurkic not playing was a huge factor. It really opened up the middle and allowed us to do whatever the fuck we wanted to down low. It was really good. I love the first basket by Siakam. Siakam was really measured and like, I'm making sure this is going in. He like really got as close as possible and he made sure it went in. His first shot of the game, that was fantastic. And then the next time down the floor, it's Scottie getting a move similar to that, but instead of taking it up himself, he finds a cutting Precious on the baseline for an easy jam. The Raptors are finding gold left and right now with their very, very, very talented lineup. And I really like what we're seeing. I mean, listen, how can you not think that the potential of this existing core for the Raptors is very, very good? In fact, we saw our player of the game last night. My number one player of the game was somebody totally new that hasn't been a player of the game yet this season, and that's Precious Achua. Precious, we talk about Scottie all the time, about Scottie this, Scottie that, but we don't talk enough about what Precious can become himself. Precious was amazing. He was our leading scorer at halftime. He had 16 points at that point. Well, he finished the game with 27 points. He was a plus 27, the highest plus minus on the Raptors last night, 13 rebounds. It's his career high, guys. He'd never gotten that many points in an NBA game before until last night. So in some ways, last night was kind of a coming out party for Precious Achua he's going to be a badass. 11 of 16 from the field. I love that kind of shooting. That is just so good because considering the wildness that he plays, like it looks like he's playing with, the fact that he makes such a high percentage of his shots is really, really good. 10 defensive rebounds. I love that so much. 2 steals and a block. Throw those in too. Why not? And a 3 just for fun. Perfect at the line. 4 for 4. Precious Achua, number 1 star for the game by far. PASCAL did a good game last night. I don't know if he's listening to us or they're listening to us and telling him, but he had to be more efficient because of the poor game he played against Golden State, and he was 9 of 17 from the field. I like to see that, PASCAL. He did get the most shots out of everyone, but it wasn't too horrible, like a huge amount where he missed a whole ton of them. So 9 of 17, I can totally take. Only 1 3, but that's okay, PASCAL. And he bounced back at the free throw line also, 5 for 5. I like seeing that. 3 rebounds, 4 assists. A plus 17, 24 points for Siakam, my second star last night. See, I'll be a little critical on Siakam because he's at that level where I want a certain level of consistency in certain ways. And it's not a whole lot that he has to do. It's just efficiency is something I'm really looking at with him at this point. My third star is Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes got a double-double last night, 18 points, 10 rebounds for himself. 7 of 12 from the field. You take Precious and Scottie shooting and put it together, you got a 18 for 28 shooting. That's fantastic. 18 for 28. That means they missed only 10 shots out of almost 30 shots. Those guys, amazing. 4 for 4 at the free throw line for Scott also. 4 offensive rebounds for Scottie. 7 assists, plus 26. Him and Precious, plus 27, plus 26. Yeah, these guys were the leaders last night, and they were the guys kind of doing a lot. Like Fred was a leader also. I shouldn't discount Fred. Fred was very important. He didn't score in the first half, but he did score some baskets late in the game. But he was really being like an off the ball kind of like passing kind of leader last night. Very effective game by Fred in a lot of ways. Now, the Fred haters have some fodder for him just because he only scored 11. But if they really were paying attention, they know that the 6 rebounds, the 9 assists, the 4 steals, the plus 19 is all very, very good for Fred. And also, he hit key threes late in the game. He may not have contributed a lot offensively most of the game, but he hit some very key shots late to act as daggers to help bring the win home for us in the fourth. So yeah, my 3 stars: Precious, Pascal, and Scottie. That's a great threesome showing up. Yeah, good stuff. Nameless is saying Precious Achua is evolving like a Pokemon right in front of our eyes. He's turning Otto Porter, that might have been the best game I've ever seen. He's turning OP. Okay, overpowering. Not Otto Porter. He's turning into Otto Porter. No, wait, what? That might have been the best game I ever saw him play. Yeah, that was the best game you've ever saw him play. That was the best game he's ever played, probably at any level in some ways. I don't know. He may have been playing better in high school or junior high or something like that. But in the NBA and maybe even in college, that's the best game he's ever played last night. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. The thing about Scottie and Precious is these guys are going to continue to have their best game ever in their career over and over again in the years to come, the next few years. We're going to see them do amazing things. And in some ways, 27 and 14 is the floor. That's the floor for him. He's going to go up even higher. Watch, Precious. It's just about finding consistency and keeping in the groove. You know, they interviewed Precious last night, and he said it really is finding a rhythm. And he's like, I really have found my rhythm, and I feel real good right now. And it's really showing, Precious. It really is. Also, Nameless is saying the way Fred VanVleet is playing lately, you might think that his child was secretly born already. Talk about a cohesive unit last night. Looked like Golden State. Yeah, you know, that happens to teams sometimes. They play a team and they play a certain way, and you know, you get beat by it, and you're like, damn, I really like how Golden State did this. I like how Golden State did that. It's like, maybe we could do that. Maybe we need to do more of that. Maybe we should try and do more of that. And then it looked like that. You know, you can rub off on another team just because, you know, you do something so well against them. They're like, I want to try this. And then they start doing it and they find success that way. So, yeah, that is definitely something that, you know, was good in a way about the Golden State game, is that we took some lessons from them and maybe they rubbed off on us a little bit, and our passing and our ball movement was way better in this game. You know, the assist total was only 24. I wanted that one more assist to get to 25, but it is what it is. There was periods in the game where the ball flowed really, really well, and then periods where it kind of reverted back to like not flowing very well, very much being isolation. Put Pascal and just isolate and let him just take the ball by himself. That did happen at times in the game last night too. But if it happened the whole entire game, who knows? Maybe we would have gotten almost 30 assists. Who knows? But 24, I'll live with that. That's not bad. And they did. They got rubbed off on by Golden State. We can see that happened a bit. I don't know about Fred's child being secretly born already. I don't know about that. It'd be weird if the child was born while he's on the trip. That's one thing we got to think about. Like, if his kid is coming while he's out west, will there be some sort of weird trip where he flies to be there for the birth and then flies back to be with the team wherever they are on this trip? You know, hopefully this baby doesn't come until he gets back. I don't know. I mean, there's no word. This is private. This is private life stuff. I'm sure when it happens, we will know. Honestly, we probably will know. They will announce it. I'm sure they will. So yeah, I don't think he's secretly, or they are secretly born. I don't know the sex of, or the gender. I shouldn't even say I don't care. I don't know if this baby's here or not yet. Whatever baby kind of baby it is. Blue or pink air or whatever air. It doesn't have to have any smoke or air. Seymour saying Pascal's all-star snub is just going to be the fuel that in the battery in his back to lead us to the promised land. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, I love that saying. So you're saying there's a chance we could. Yeah, I think there is a chance, Seymour. Let's go, Raptors. You know, listen, I don't think Pascal's going to get snubbed, though. You can't say he's snubbed from the starting lineup. I'm sorry. Joel Embiid can say he's been snubbed from the starting lineup, but you can't say Pascal was. He was third runner-up to get on the team behind Joel and Jimmy Butler and then Pascal. But I don't say it's a snub. It's like, listen, I think once again, it's very much an honor that he got that high up in the fan voting, that he was that ranked in the whole league. That does say something. That is an accomplishment. Trust me. But him not making the starters is not a snub, and he's gonna be on the team. Trust me, they're gonna pick him and put him on the All-Star team, especially since we're playing so much better right now. That the people that are in the know the Raptors are back to being good, and if they have the foresight to think about the rest of the season, projecting with us playing better ball, they're gonna be like, yeah, there's gonna be an oversight of no PASCAL on the All-Star team. They're just gonna look bad in the future if they don't put him on the All-Star team. So he'll be on it. He'll probably be on it, Seymour. I'm gonna bet. Inside the NBA can hoop itself. Up north, that don't mean basketball, aka the hoop your forehead. What? Inside the NBA can hoop itself. Up north, that don't mean basketball, aka like hoop your forehead. Hoop itself. I don't even know what that means exactly, but that's all good. Sometimes. All right, let's see. Nameless is saying Dame Lillard looked exhausted trying to guard PASCAL. There's nothing anybody could do to slow him down or stop him. Great refs too. We were officiated fairly, just like another American team. Listen, the referees were fantastic. David Guthrie's a weird ref, but he's fair. I don't get upset with him. He took those challenges. They were very funny. We had that one challenge by Portland that was a however challenge. That's what I'm going to call them. However, the challenge was successful. However, we found another foul before the foul on Jeremy Grant reaching over Fred's back and grabbing his arm. So there is still a foul on the play, Toronto ball. That however successful challenge is hilarious because it's kind of like, yeah, you're right. We messed up, but we messed up so bad. We didn't get the original foul that we should have called in the first place. And y'all still, even though you won the challenge, technically you're right. We got the wrong foul, but there's still a foul and everything's staying exactly the same. It's not a strategic, great challenge to make. But it is it's kind of like, I told you so, I'm right. Well, who cares? It's still this way, and it didn't change anything about the game. Yeah, our challenge we didn't win. That was really Fred being trusted by Nick Nurse that he did actually get all ball, but on the replay it shows him touching the guy's forearm, and that our challenge was wasted and not used well. Because of that, it was really like, come on, it could have been the same kind of thing that happened with the challenge for Portland, as far as like they could have saw Scottie body him right before that happened, or Fred hitting on the forearm. They could have, they could have trumped it up and figured out any kind of way to say, oh yeah, well it's still a foul on you, Raptors, and challenge unsuccessful. But I do like this statement a lot, Nameless. I do feel like the Raptors got a fair shake from the referee crew last night. Trey Maddox, Brandon Adair, and David Guthrie. They were very, very fair, and I like that ref crew. And in fact, they were not making people in Portland very happy with them, because there was a lot of calls that were seeming like they were favoring the Raptors. And I had no problem with that. Once again, we had such a great crowd at that game last night. Our Raptor freaks and Raptor fans got in there and took over that building. I love that so much. It was so hilarious to watch. But yeah, listen, I want to talk about the referees in general in this league right now, because this Boston Lakers game that happened last night, the curtain was pulled. The veil has been lifted, and they did it to LeBron himself personally, a ref hit job. And they've really got in trouble now because they were very much favoring Boston. Like I've been saying, they will roll the red carpet out and they want to help Boston win. Well, they did last night against the Lakers in a really, really egregiously apparent way, where that you had LeBron James hitting the ground at the end of regulation like he's in church on Sunday morning right now. And he's praying and he's just angry and hitting the ground because the refs were so bad in that moment without giving him a call to put him on the line, that he got fouled by Jaylen Brown. He should have been shooting free throws to win that game for the Lakers. Wow. You know what? NBA, you're helping the Boston Celtics is now on blast. You have pissed off the most important player in the league with your bullshit with helping the Celtics and your ref hit jobs. Well, you're caught red-handed now, and everybody can see it. And you've even admitted you guys were wrong and you fucked up, and you just handed the game to the Celtics. a win over the Lakers on the biggest stage in rivalry week in a rivalry game. And that is amazing to me because at some point that things just get figured out. And right now, this is a very interesting time where the referees are in the hot seat because we know you help the Celtics now because you just helped them over the Lakers on national television with LeBron James involved. And you are getting put on blast now for it, NBA refs. Ooh, you shouldn't have helped the Celtics so overtly. And now we all know that what I've been saying for a year or two now is true, that the NBA helps the Celtics win. So you go ahead and feel good about yourself, Celtics fans, because you get that hand holding from the NBA. You got it last night against the Lakers. Who needs their hand held to beat the Lakers? The Celtics do. There you go. You go. I'm a beat down y'all verbally on that one. Yeah, I love it. Seymour saying so true, nameless. The refs were really good last night. And listen, I think that, there's a respect for our team with a lot of referees. I can tell that our front guys are personable people and they're fun dudes. They're kind of fun personalities. They're cool, a collection of guys. Scottie's interesting in his own way. OG, of course, the enigma of OG. PASCAL can be annoying, but in some ways they really have to respect who he is and who he's became as a player. People like Chris Boucher and Fred VanVleet that were undrafted and made themselves into who they are, they get the ultimate respect from some of those referees. And in some ways, we have good relationships with the refs since Kyle left. Seriously, like I see these guys like Trey Maddox, Brandon Adair last night, palling around with the Raptors and talking and smiling like they're friends. I see sometimes, clips before the game where players are going up to the refs and saying, "Hey, glad to be playing in a game with you last night." And it's very warm and fuzzy and very happy. The situation, the back and forth, you can tell they're actually friends. So I think that right now, in some ways, the Raptors have the best relationship with the NBA referees in their whole entire franchise existence right now. And I am so about that in some ways our franchise has matured to the point where the referees do actually really respect what we've built as far as our culture, even if we're not totally winning. This season has been proven to show this. We're not a winning team. We're not even in the play-in, but we're getting very good respect on the court from the referees in different ways. And I think it's two things. It's the fact that we won a championship and we've been one of the best Eastern Conference teams for like 10 years now. And the other thing is Kyle Lowry left. I'm not lying. Seriously. I think that those two things, 2 years away from Kyle being on this team and Fred being the captain, have done such good things for the Raptors and their relations with the referees. So, yeah, we're at the best point in Raptor and referee relations in the history of the Raptors franchise right now. We are getting respect. And they like us. They really do like us. But there's nothing like the hand holding that's going on with the Celtics. Trust me. It's just that, we finally got respect. I like that so much. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Naco the Nachos here. Good morning, Gerald. Precious and Scottie were both him. Fred was also pretty stellar. Lots of Viking celebrations in this one. Yeah, listen, it's funny. Scottie has gotten to talk some trash recently in a lot of different ways. And it's like, all right, first, the way they opened the Warriors game with him doing the turnaround and look back at Jordan Poole and then dunking. Okay, that's vintage. That's Scottie. Well, in this game, there were a couple of massive monster dunks where Scottie just came and threw it down in the nastiest way that was just so fun to watch as a Raptor fan. Seeing Scottie just burst up and and I think at one point, because Will Ferrell was staring them down at the beginning of the game, they were directing a lot of their smack talk to Will Ferrell just for comedic response. Like that one point when Fred said, "This is what I do." He said that after he hit that lay-in and was a crazy move. And he's walking back down the court. And he's like, "Ah!" And he's like, I could tell he's maybe staring right at Will Ferrell. And he said, "This is what I do." And I was like wondering, it's like, are they talking to him about what he does and what they do? And like, you just stick to funniness, funny man, stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, they were talking about, let's get him to get his gear on and go out there and play for the Blazers, looking like an old ass Bill Walton, wearing that headband like Jackie Moon and getting out there and playing his character from Semi-Pro. That would have been pretty funny, entertaining stuff right there. But yeah, I think that there was some trash talking going on between the Raptors bench and Will Ferrell last night. I think there very much was. I think there was. And so it was funny. Yeah, the Viking celebration, all the different kinds of celebrations they were doing. Fred, at one point when Precious got that offensive rebound putback, Fred did his whole from far away. They showed him reacting. He didn't even do anything I think he assisted the play, but he didn't really do a whole lot. It was Precious' effort in getting on it and putting it in that fired him up. And Fred went like this towards Will Ferrell at one point. They were. It did seem like they were directing their celebrations at Will Ferrell last night. Let's go Raptors! Yes, Seymour Pape. Yes, what a fun game. Like, listen, we've had such a crazy year with a horror show of like very close losses and like ways that we just fell apart in the fourth quarter and had bad things happen. Well, we got a fun one. We got one with a lot of character and silliness and weirdness. This is what I say about NBA games. Each and every NBA game is special. It's like an individual snowflake in the snowstorm. They're all different and all have their own characteristics and differences. And well, last night was a fun one because Portland kind of became like Detroit and became like a Raptors West arena. And then Will Ferrell was at the game acting crazy. And how can you not enjoy a fun character game like that? That's just silly, crazy, fun stuff. Isaac Campbell saying Scottie and Freddie getting it done together. That's a solid team stat line, top to bottom. Raps ain't going nowhere but up. Listen, talking about going nowhere, Aaron Rose, I don't know, maybe he's listening to us too, and maybe we're just saying stuff and they're hearing us. Has shown us the way we can keep everybody under the luxury tax. He has a post from yesterday that has it all laid out with the money for our core guys where none of them leave. And he really showed how it could happen. Now it's going to be very expensive and it will be, not a lot of room to maneuver in a couple of years if we do this, but it is possible. He showed the way. And I don't know if it's likely for sure or if it is what they're going to do, but it has been proven that, yes, we can keep everyone if we want to. And we go into the luxury tax. Aaron Rose has shown the numbers. He's crunched them and he's posted them on his Twitter. So if you guys want to go look at it, he has shown the way to keep everybody. We don't have to get rid of Gary. We don't have to get rid of Freddie. We don't have to get rid of OG. We keep everybody. PASCAL, Scottie, Precious, everybody. He showed the way. Thank you, Aaron Rose, for putting that out there. Now, how likely that scenario is playing out, I don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. Some people are saying, why would you pay so much money for a mediocre team? Fuck you, motherfucker. This is not a mediocre team. This is a team that's had some trouble this year that hasn't played as well as they should have. But they have the capability to be the best team in the league. Trust me, they very much do. They very, very, very much do. Yeah, Isaac, I really like the synergy between Fred and Scott because, listen, these guys are – a lot of people want to put them at odds. A lot of people have made it Fred versus Scottie, and it's so stupid because it's so – the reality of the whole situation is so opposite that. These guys get such good things from each other. And they know this, and they're smart enough to realize it, unlike these dumbass fans that want to make it Freddie versus Scottie. Because listen, they love playing together. You can tell. I remember this past summer with Scottie, and Isaac, because you were there, that Scottie just really celebrates his teammates and when they do really good things. When he played 2K23 with Lloyd and the rest of the guys, when Lloyd was fucking up, yeah, he was on him and he talked trash and get mad at Lloyd. But when Lloyd did something very, very good, he was like, yes, Lloyd, you're my guy. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. He's a great teammate. And Fred, listen, once again, people just don't understand what drives him. It's winning at all costs, and he doesn't give a shit about his own stats. Obviously, look at his stat line last night. He could have been way more selfish and took way more shots. He was 4 of 13, 2 of 8 from the 3-point line, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, only 2 turnovers, plus 19, 11 points. Fred could be way more selfish, and he isn't. So look, there's so much to like about them, and they're different than each other. And they really like Scott. Fred's whole thing is like Precious and Scottie are so good. The sky's a limit for them with their potential. And I'm just really enjoying seeing it. And I want to help them be the absolute best players they can possibly be. That's Fred's philosophy with them. So it's really, really good. Callie's saying it was so nice to see the guys communicating, chest bumping, high fiving, and smiling. Loved how Fred didn't play hero ball and made smart plays in the fourth. Precious. Wow. Yeah, listen, he picked his spots. He made a couple important dagger shots, but for the most part, it was very, a lot of different people attacking late in the game. We saw a little bit of Scottie, a little bit of Precious, a little bit of Gary, a little bit of Pascal. And that's the whole thing. I love the efficiency of those two guys in particular, Pascal and Fred, because they're high usage. And that was one of the things that the Portland announcers said last night. I only heard them for a second. And they were saying that the Raptors are part of the reason why they're so good is because Fred and Pascal really take care of the ball and don't turn the ball over a lot. That they are very high usage guys that have the ball in their hands a lot that could be turning the ball over way more, but they really take care of it. And that's true between the two of those guys last night. In like 40 and 80 minutes of play between the two of them, only 3 turnovers. Between those two Raptors leaders, we only had 6 turnovers overall for our team. And that was a huge, huge difference that helped us. I mean, it's not that they had a super huge amount of turnovers either. They had 11. But, us only having 6, that's almost half of what they had. And that's good. All right, let's see. Yeah, I really love the communicating. And I think this road trip is really helping them. As CJ Miles put it recently, it's like when you go on the road, you let your guard down a little bit with the other guys. And it is really how you kind of bond a little bit more. I mean, look, you got to be around each other at weird times of the day that you may not see each other very much. These guys, not that they're up all night or anything like that, but, in the morning they get up or they're staying in the same hotel rooms or around each other. They go meet each other and they hang out, or maybe like, hey, I want to watch this football highlights from this game or something like that. Yeah, let's watch it. Come into my hotel room and we'll watch it later. All right, let's hang out. Some stuff like that's happening. And that just, it could be as simple as like, hey, let's get up and get breakfast in the morning. All right. Yeah, I'll see you at breakfast in the lobby at around 8 in the morning. Okay. Yeah, we'll see you there. And, that's more bonding, more off time together other than just driving down the arena when a home game's going on and meeting up in the arena like that way. That's the cool thing about the road trip, that it really will bring people together. You know how it is when you go on a long road trip with your friends or your family. You get that road feeling. And it's kind of fun because you're going just down the road and you're hitting like restaurants you've never been to or being places where you're not necessarily used to being around. And it's kind of fun, especially when you're with people you really enjoy being around. So, all right, let's keep going. Tom Duke is saying good morning. He's got that stack of pancakes. He's got that 100% Canadian maple syrup, which was really in effect last night. West Coast Raptor Freaks showed up to support. Great effort again. Yeah, I really love the lead, the wire-to-wire lead victory by the Raptors yesterday. We really jumped out on them right away at the beginning, showing really effective offense and then just really good, smart defense in different places. We really held Portland to a very anemic first quarter of scoring. This was the second best defensive effort in the first quarter by the Raptors, 14 points for the Trailblazers. The only other game where we let a team score less was that crazy ass Milwaukee game where it was 13-12 after the first quarter. But 14 for Portland in the first quarter, that was absolutely fantastic. And that's the way to get it started and get that maple syrup lead going right away. Beautiful, beautiful maple syrup lead. They have a thing on ESPN called the Game Flow, and they show the lines and when the lines of the scoring, and when those lines are separated and they're nice and away from each other, I love it. There was a little bit of part of a skinny part at the beginning of the fourth where they were threatening. They were within 5 a couple times, Very, very close and a little bit scary at those times. But you know what? The Raptors did really good job weathering those comeback storms by the Trailblazers with a guy like Dame Lillard and kept on top, which was really, really good. And yeah, what a fantastic contingency of Raptor fans traveling from BC and different places out west to come down to Portland to go to this game. They did a good job cheering the team. Every time the in-game ops was showing people in the arena, these Raptor fans were jumping in front and representing the Raptors, and then boom, we were winning. We heard "Let's go Raptors" chants, and then at the end of the game, "Let's go Raptors." Let's go Raptors. I loved seeing that. I mean, seriously, we travel really well. And in some ways, these cities that are border cities with Canada, like Minnesota, Detroit, Portland, are very much cities we will invade and take over a good section of their arena with our fans. And I love seeing that. Such a great percentage of great Raptor fans. And I could tell a lot of those Raptor fans that were at the game last night were old school Raptor fans. These are people that are like us, they've been around since the 90s, the very beginning. These dudes were bringing out the old purple stuff. It was crazy. Some of these fans, I was like, wow, that's vintage right there. That's about 96, 97 Raptor stuff that guy's wearing. And I'm like, I wonder if he's been around since then. So it's like there's some old Raptor fans out on the West Coast that were at that game last night, which I love to see. I love to see it. And we really did take over the building to a degree. Portland fans are nice people. I have a very good friend who lives in Portland who's a big Trailblazers fan from Tallahassee. And I have no problem with their fan nation or their team. In fact, they're very friendly with us. I know Chauncey and Nick Nurse have a good relationship. So yeah, it is what it is, and I'm glad we just won. How about that? But good job, West Coast Raptor freaks representing Tom Duke. That's right. Nameless is saying Gary Trent Jr. played incredible, absolute daggers from three. Gary making a statement he doesn't want to go anywhere. Tommaso Ducarelli in the house. Tommaso Ducarelli. I love it. Yeah, Gary, listen, it's the beat goes on. This guy is still just going. It's like, listen, and his past as an NBA player, he's streaky. He has like a little period where he plays really good for like a week or two, and then boom, he's not very good for a week. And well, that's not happening right now. He very much has been consistent pretty much since like November. I think about that long. He's been about 2 months consistently playing very well. There's maybe one or two games, bad games in this whole period of time. Otherwise, he's been absolutely consistent with his scoring and his shooting. The shooting's a big part of it. Like with him, if he's not making his threes, we can really tell he's struggling and he's having a hard time shooting like he did at the beginning of the season. Well, he's not struggling at all right now. He has been playing incredible. Let me look at his stat line from last night since I didn't make him 1 and 3 stars. 36 minutes. He got 19 points. He was a plus 18, 7 of 16 from the field, 4 of 10 from three. He made his only free throw attempt, and he got a rebound and an assist. Now, not a lot of stats overall, and his shooting wasn't as good as I'd like it to be as he's been recently, but still is very okay. 7 of 16 is way better than 7 of 20 or 7 of 24. And, 7 of 14, more like what he shot earlier this week, is better, but I'll take 7 of 16. And the 19 points are great. And once again, a big part of what Gary's doing for our team is he's like the offensive relief valve, that we may play him with bench units where there's like Juancho and Thad and Malachi, and he may be the guy if we're in big trouble right at the end of the shot clock. We'll find Gary. He'll get an open shot no matter what if you get it to him with 5 seconds to go on the clock. And then we did that a couple times last night. The clock was winding down. We worked it around and tried to find something, but he's always this guy at the very end of the shot clock. If we find him, he will take a good shot that has a good chance to make it. And he made those shots too. Like they'd find him right at the end of the shot clock and boom, he'd make that basket. So really good job by Gary. I agree, Nameless. He was fantastic. And we can't give all the stars to everybody, but if I had more stars, I'd probably give one to him. G saying Fred and Scottie play well together. Scottie's chest pumping Fred after his block. Fred had bounce last night. His knee is looking better. Yeah, there's good vibes going on. Like seriously, Fred was really being like kind of a badass in different ways, and that block was really badass. And that was part of like what he said. He's like after the game, he's like, I don't want them to count that as a steal. I want that to be a block. So he's kind of alluding to this funny phenomenon that's been happening with him the last couple years about how some of his stats get diverted to blocks from steals, and like there's a very gray area between what Fred's doing is a steal or a block. And it really has to do with where he takes the ball from them. If it's up high, then it's kind of a block, but if it's down low, it's a steal. But it's like I said, there's a gray area of judgment in how you can score it or look at it. Like, is that a block or a steal? Well, last night it was a block, according to Fred, and he wants it counted as a block, stats people, because he was very clear. He's like, I want to make sure that's a block. But yeah, they were fired up, and there's a lot of cool celebrating. Who knows? Maybe the antics of Will Ferrell being there makes people kind of get up and be like, this isn't L.A., it's Portland. But having Will Ferrell sitting next to your bench does give it kind of a star-studded specialness. And in some ways, maybe these guys got up for it. It was kind of pretty crazy. Uh, his knee is looking better, and Fred's looking fresh. And the thing about it is, we're starting to see Fred contribute without having to be so like heavily used and tired out. He can really start to let the other guys carry some weight in different ways, whether it's carrying the ball, shooting, scoring, whatever it is. He has other people that can help him instead of him having to do it all himself. A lot of like what he had to do last year. This year, he's got more guys that can help him, the different things he does. So that's really good too for his health. Minutes police, I could be minutes police. This is the second night of a back to back. Fred playing 41 minutes, I don't necessarily like that, but I don't think he was horrible with the rotations. The guys they looked a little tired near the end of the third quarter, starting the fourth, but I don't know what happened. They didn't seem totally tired out by the end of the game, which was good, because that's the one thing I always worry about with him playing them such heavy minutes. But yeah, it wasn't horrible. Fred getting 41 minutes, don't necessarily like that. But I think partly that was because Fred was going to sit for a little while in the fourth. But something happened in the game. They started threatening us, like getting close. And he put Fred back in a little earlier than he wanted to, probably in the fourth quarter. He was probably going to try and put him in around the 6 or 5 minutes to go area, but he ended up having to play him at around the 10 minutes to go area. And then he ended up having to play pretty much the whole fourth quarter. And that's why Fred's at 41 minutes. But otherwise, 39 minutes for Siakam, 38 for Scottie, 36 for Gary, and 33 for Precious. Not too horrible. Could have been a little better with the minutes distribution, more equitable. And then, of course, right at the end of the game, he managed to get all the guys in for 1 minute of fun. And these guys really made the best advantage of being in there right at the end of the game. They looked good. Different guys that came in right at the end of the game. Ron Harper Jr. hiding underneath the basket and getting an offensive rebound putback. That was fantastic. Jeff Doughton finding Koloko for an alley-oop in transition. That was fantastic. Just really cool to see those guys get in for 2 minutes and get a couple of cool things to happen. Jeff didn't do a lot. He made one assist, but that one assist to Koloko was very cool. And Koloko getting that one assist, and then also getting that one basket and a rebound, really good. Ron Harper getting the offensive putback, very good also. In fact, you could tell with Ron Harper, even in that little bit of time, that he's getting confidence from playing on the G League and having good play recently. That, in some ways at the beginning of the year when he came on this team, I don't know if his confidence was high enough to do what he did in that one little split second of getting that offensive board and putting it back. And this is showing his development and him coming along on 905 for the Raptors. So good job, Ron Harper Jr., just getting in there. Maybe because Will Ferrell was there, you wanted to show up for him. Something like that. Malachi, I'm not happy with Malachi. He is what he is. You were 0 for 3. All 3 of those shots that you took, if you had made any one of them, I'd have more happiness about you, Malachi. But this is bad. You really are. If anybody on this team needs to be hitting their shots, it's you, bro, because your career is on the line on whether you make NBA shots or not. It really is kind of like that. Juancho hit a 3 last night, which was fantastic. I love seeing that because we need to remind everyone that he does have that threat still. And then Thaddeus was very overpowering and tough at times. In fact, Alvin was calling his shot when he got the ball in the low post. He's like, "That's a money bank. He's going to make that." And he is with that left hand turnaround right next to the basket and the baseline. Boom. Thad's making that shot. 3 of 4 in 9 minutes. 7 points scored by Thaddeus. He's not really a scorer. He did 7 points in 9 minutes. That's fantastic. He got an important offensive rebound. He had a block. He had an assist. Just not a bad little like spot duty for Thaddeus last night, who was like really using his veteran like guile and big stuff. He was big. And without Nurkic out there, Scottie and Precious and Thaddeus, they could be bullies last night. And they really were bullies to the Blazers in a lot of ways. Yeah, the really cool stuff from the bench. I like seeing them play at the end of the game. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Great team win. Everyone stepped up. Love seeing the progression of our rising star Precious. Team ball execution. There was one point where Precious was lurking. You know what I'm talking about. That play where he was like kind of underneath the basket. He was kind of crouching down like this, like nobody see me. And then he like kind of appeared and came around and they found him. And then he got an easy dunk. Yeah, that was fun. I was like, ooh, Precious is lurking. That's what I said. It was like he was lurking. He was trying to stay small. And like, oh, nobody realized I'm underneath the basket real quick. And then he makes himself appear and boom, they find him. And it's an easy dunk. There's a lot of that kind of easy stuff around the basket because of like, just, I don't know. It's weird. Portland's not good without Nurkic. It's amazing how bad they are without Nurkic. They have nothing for defense down low. He's absolutely essential for them to be good. And then, there's something weird about Lillard at this point. In some ways, Lillard's given up. I know he got 60 the other night, and maybe on certain nights he just goes off. And maybe it's because Fred was really handcuffing him last night. That's the one thing Fred said that he had to do last night and he was mirroring him with the minutes. Like they brought Fred back in partly also because Lillard got brought back in. And I think that they were trying to mirror Fred with Lillard. They wanted him to be out there. They didn't like Malachi on Lillard. So then Fred did a really good job on him considering. I mean, he got 30 points. But to me, listen, this is the thing about Lillard. He's such a good player, a top 75 player. I don't totally agree with that, by the way. They say he is, but I don't totally agree with him being top 75. But he is the kind of player that should be killer instinct and being like, I'm going to carry my team to win. But he's had to do that for so many years. He's burnt out on it. And he doesn't even really kind of step up and do that kind of stuff for the team anymore. Sure, he enhances the team and makes them better. But he's not that guy anymore. Like, I really expected him to go crazy late in the game and really make a strong effort to try and help his team win, but he didn't. And in some ways, it makes me feel like he's, after all these years of being on Portland, that he's given up to a degree, that some of the competitive fire that's inside him is not as strong burning because of the trials and tribulations of playing for the Trailblazers for 10 years. And that's the thing. It's like, how can you get up over and over again each year when your team is just kind of who they are every year, like Portland and Washington? I wonder about Bradley Beal in the same way that I wonder about Damian Lillard. And that there's a fire that's missing in him that if he was on a better team, he would have, because he really doesn't care in some ways. I know he's getting all the accolades. He's the highest scoring Trailblazer of all time for their franchise now, passing Clyde Drexler this season. But in some ways, there's something missing from Dame Lillard that's very important for them to win, and it's a fire. I don't think his fire is lit anymore. I don't think he cares. I think he just kind of is like, you know what, this sucks. This team is going, it is what it is, but I'm still committed to being a Blazer. And so it's kind of like he's going through the motions. It's really weird. Really, really weird. Space Cadets here. I love it. Fred haters on suicide watch after that performance. Listen, I love the movement of Fred Love versus the Fred hate. And the people that are on the Fred Love train are Raptor freaks, good, positive fans, the team, his teammates, his coaches, the media, the coaches of the other team, the team players of the other teams are all on Team Love Fred. And that everybody's heard about the maligning of our fan nation and the people talking about Fred, that they're all being more outspoken about the good things about Fred, left and right. Dante, Pat Connaughton on Jake's Takes this week, talking glowingly about how important and great Fred is. People talking about how this is a champion. This is a champion point guard. This is a guy who got deep into the finals and won a championship, helping the Raptors in 2019. This is a winner. All this stuff that people are saying about him is true. And Raptor haters or Fred VanVleet haters, who I equate as the same, y'all need to listen to the experts. Y'all need to listen to Alvin Williams. You need to listen to the coaches of the other teams like Chauncey Billups. When they talk about Fred VanVleet and they put respect on his name, y'all need to follow suit and stop slandering him and wanting to send him away from us, because he is such a good player for us. And yeah, I don't know if they're on suicide watch or whatever, but they may need to find a new target or a new way to try and pick at our team instead of Fred, because he's playing so well. Isaac Campbell saying congrats to 500, and now what, 505? Thanks, Isaac. Yeah, 500 on Thursday, and we'll just keep going. I'll be at 1,000 before you know it. And then we'll keep going on that. I'll be 2,000, 5,000. Hey, I'm in this for the long haul. Trust me. Congrats on the 500. The OG Raptor freak streaker. Just like what Pat Bev likes to say, W to the man and his camera. Thank you, Isaac Campbell. That's awesome. G saying the Raptor fans showed Portland how it's done. Yeah, it was really cool to take over their building for a bit. I always love seeing that kind of stuff. The young people, just the amount of people that were there. Like I said, they couldn't put the camera in any corner of that building without catching somebody in Raptors paraphernalia representing our team. And I can't get mad about that. In fact, it warms my heart in a very deep way. It really does. All right. Yeah. Evelyn's here. Good morning, Granny Evelyn. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. What an impressive game. Precious. Oh, precious. This game was so fun. Wasn't it, Evelyn? It was just an enjoyable Saturday night. It was a time to party. Saturday night party out in Portland. Watching them beat the Portland Trailblazers in a fun game that wasn't very stressful. Callie's stress meter was not that high last night, I'm pretty sure. So it was good fun. Monique is here. Super fan Monique Lawrence in the house. Good morning. What a game. 3 stars. Precious, precious, and more precious. Seriously, though. Anyone precious? Fred, Scottie? Listen, I have no problem with you putting Precious as your 3 stars, all 3 of them, because in some ways he's doing 3 different things on the court, whether it's his defensive rebounding and ending the possession, whether it's his attacking the rim and opening things up for everybody on the court because he's a scary threat. Or maybe it's just his enthusiasm, positivity, and his potential mindset of abundance that he can become whatever he wants on top of whatever he wants. And the sky's a limit. He isn't even thinking about a limit. That's what I'm saying. So there are 3 reasons to give 3 stars to Precious the Chua, just himself. But yeah, Fred, sure. Scottie, PASCAL, Gary, sure. Max is here. Precious is insane. Yes, isn't he? Like, he really is. Like, I know in Aaron Rose's breakdown for this salary cap to keep everybody, Precious would be getting $60 million for 4 years in his next contract. Now, I don't know if that's realistic. He might be getting more than that. And that may be where things get a little messed up, because this dude is so good. I don't know what's going to happen with his contract. This could be where things get a real sticky and tough, because he may be demanding a better money situation because of his level of play. Woo! But I'm okay with that. These are good problems to have. Callie's saying that dunk by Scottie. Love it. I know. He was so forceful, and he got up high over some guys and really brought it down. Scottie's been really showing his length as far as how long his arms are and just how strong he can be. He really is maximizing his physical powers that allow him to do things on the court that the average person can't do, whether it's the strength with the speed. It's just badass. And I love his aggressiveness and his will at this point. Like, that dunk really was like, I'm going to jam it on you no matter what. And you get out of my way or you're going to just get dunked on. And that's what that was. And I love that, because I want him to do that way more. Scottie's an amazing player. I mean, we were talking about Precious But Scottie, in a lot of ways, also is still doing amazing stuff every single game that's just scratching the surface of new stuff that he can do down the road. That's fantastic. There's another thing he did last night. I don't totally remember. It was like, holy shit, he can do that too. This happens every single game with these two guys. We watch them and then we're like, holy crap, he can do that too. It's kind of like what we're saying to ourselves at least once during the game. Like, whoa, he just did that. Oh, wow. Okay, this is good. We need to have him do that more. Tom Duke saying, I liked it when Big Money was kissing his left hand, blowing smooches to the crowd. You mean Big Four. I know that that's what you meant because you had it in caps. Yeah, he was a little bit of trash talking. I'm telling you, he's talking trash to Will Ferrell. That's just golden opportunity, Scottie. You need to talk trash to Will Ferrell because the comedy in that is just hilarious. Like I said, NBA, y'all messed up by not miking one of the Raptors for this whole interaction with Will Ferrell at the end of the bench. There's just too much entertainment gold that y'all missed with not having a microphone on a Raptor player last night. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Scottie is getting more interactive with the fans the last couple games. We've been seeing him very much blowing kisses, doing different things like wah and posing, doing all that kind of stuff. And it's good. I'm here for it. I am very much here for it, Tom. Jimmy's here. Big dubs, baby. Yeah, Pope of positivity. Bap, 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 bap. Yes. Yes. What a fun game, Jimmy. And let's go get Pheonix tomorrow. Phoenix Suns in Phoenix. Yeah, I'll have the preview tomorrow, 9:30. We'll talk about them tomorrow. Cool Cat saying eventually teams will have to decide double team or not. We have many weapons to deliver. Fred played Lowry-esque game we want from him. Scottie Precious Power type games with OG. Chip ready next year. I love it. Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2024. Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2023. Maybe still. I don't know. We can see, but I hope you're right. I'd love to be challenging for a championship either today, this year, or next year. Next year, it sounds more realistic, but you never know. We get things figured out quick here in Toronto. That's for sure. Now, you're right. This whole thing about the Raptors having emerging stars that are really difficult to deal with, there's going to be trouble trying to figure out who gets doubled. And the thing is that the Raptors are really smart because they're trained to look for the way that the defense reacts and how they're going at us with our offense. And we look for the holes. It's like they say, we do what they give us. So in theory, if there's double team problems with having to double multiple guys on our team, there should be always stuff that's given to them because of the way the defense reacts to our offense. And that it's just these guys picking it apart and understanding this is the protocol. When this happens, we do this. When this happens, we do this. And then it should be easy baskets. Because honestly, part of the problem is you can't double PASCAL, you can't double Scottie, and you can't double Precious all at the same time. And then forget it. Don't even get started about dealing with Gary and Fred on the others otherwise. So what happens is, PASCAL gets doubled and boom, they throw it to Scottie and he just takes a little guy on his back and beats him one-on-one in the post. Or they don't come and double PASCAL. Well, he's good enough to beat any one individual by himself and just score himself. So it really is pick your poison defensive teams against the Raptors. We have so many different guys you need to double. You're going to have to double, but how do you do that? Do you have 8 players on the court? Well, the referees are helping you. You do. But otherwise, not normally. You guys just have 5. And that's not enough. You need more guys to double everybody than just 5 players. And you're not going to have that. There's a really cool clip of James Harden sitting on the bench and coming into the game from the bench. Have y'all seen this clip of James? I've never seen this before, ever, in an NBA game where a player who's playing on the court goes and does a little, like he was trying to hide, kind of like Precious was lurking underneath the basket. I was talking about earlier. He was kind of hiding, cowering. Well, James went and sat on the bench while he was in the game active and acted like he was on the bench when they did an inbounds play with the Nuggets. And he ran in from the bench and tried to steal the ball. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Y'all need to watch this highlight of James Harden coming into the game. off the bench, and it was so weird. It was so weird. But I didn't realize that. Well, he was the guy who was supposed to be in the game. I thought he wasn't in the game. He was just coming in and be messing things up. But no, he was actually in the game, and they got a technical called on them because they didn't have 5 players on the court. They had only 4. The NBA is so entertaining and silly. James Harden, thank you. And thank you, Lakers Boston game. Oh, entertainment. It's such entertainment. Oh, so good. Oh, all right. All right. Keep going. Daddy's saying the Raptors looked a little better. Good win. Still need better contribution off the bench. I personally think Jeff Doughton should be getting Flynn's minutes. Certainly not DMPs and garbage time. Yeah, I can't disagree with this. I'm totally on the same opinion of you with the whole Doughton versus Malachi at this point. Like, Jeff has not gotten a good fair share chance to try. And Malachi's gotten tries over tries over tries. And after he missed the second 3-pointer last night, I was like, yeah, Malachi, this isn't good. You've got to make these, especially when you had that really open one. And Alvin and Matt were kind of saying, yeah, you're not shooting that well. You should have passed it to the next guy instead of taking that late 3 that you missed. If he had made that shot, that would have been really good for him, but he didn't. And that's what I'm saying. Malachi, this is the most important thing about your game is shooting and making the shots. And I want to see Jeff get out there because he might make the shots. That's what I'm saying. I'm with Daddy Gates on that. Monica's saying, keep building. Did you even think Nurse had to coach this game? I don't think so. Laugh out loud. No, he had to coach. I mean, they were coaching. It was an interesting, weird game. In fact, his plan for winning the game was so good that's why they won. Is that they really, once they knew that Nurkic was not going to be there, well, they knew the door was open and that down low we could do whatever we want. Eubanks is a weird center, very clumsy, very slow. He did have a couple of moves that he put in, but for the most part, he's a detriment. He's not good to have in your lineup, because you can kind of move around him and make things happen. He's not very good at stopping people. Callie's saying the chemistry on the team has really improved, makes a huge difference. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sharon is caring, move that ball around, set each other up, be more like the Warriors. You saw the Warriors right up close on Friday night. Well, be like them, more like Steph and those guys, and you'll look better and better and better. Seymour saying, hoop your forehead means get your forehead out of your ass or go fuck yourself. I'm not a fan of the show Inside the NBA. Oh, okay. This is what Seymour was saying. Scarborough slang. All right. Yeah. My apologies. I know about hooping to smuggle things into the jails. Like you put things up your butt. And that's what I think of that. But yeah, so that kind of goes along with that. Hoop your forehead. And he's like, stick your head up your ass. Okay, I get it. The Inside the NBA people, I didn't watch them last night, so I don't know what they were saying. But, you're talking about Ernie Johnson and Shaquille and Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith. Now, they have alternates that come in sometimes. Like it used to be Dwayne Wade, but I don't think he's doing it anymore. And now it's more Jamal Crawford. They'll have like Draymond come in and do it too sometimes. I love that crew. They've been so good historically for so long. They won a lot of Emmys. They've just been fantastic. And I have a lot of respect for Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I don't necessarily like Shaq. Shaq, I respect as a player and think that he is one of the most dominant players to ever play in the league. But in some ways, I don't totally respect him when he's on the stage and his opinions. In fact, he recently came out saying that he didn't know who Rui Hachimura was, and they didn't pay attention to the Wizards. Well, this is something we know about you, Shaq. You're not good at your job because you don't pay attention to the league. You don't pay attention to players in the league. You don't know how to say their names. You don't even know who they are. If you're on TV and you're getting paid a huge amount of money to cover the NBA, I would think you'd be good at your job, but you're not. And some people have called you out on this in the last couple of days, like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant called you out and says, Shaq, you don't know the NBA because you don't know who Rui Hachimura is. So, yeah, I'm with you in some ways. There's some, Ernie Johnson's such an amazing, incredible story. I mean, this man probably might have died like a few years ago, but he battled cancer and won. He's still here. We're just lucky and blessed to have that man around still at this point. And then Kenny Smith's awesome. I don't have any problem with Kenny. But yeah, SHAQ is the one that bothers me. But I don't know what they were saying last night. If they were, if they were talking trash about the Raptors, I never like that. But usually Charles will stand up for us a little bit, but those other guys are usually dissing us. I know that. But yeah, I don't know what they said, but I like them from the American media. They're on the better side of things because at least they're entertaining. And I really do love Charles a lot. Charles is one of my favorite players of all time, and just his personality and who he is just amazing to me. Monique is saying I was right about my predictions on Dame, and the Raptors listened. Limit threes, contain Dame. Let's tire out CP3. Let's go, boys. Great post game interviews last night. Yeah, Monique, you were right. Dame Lillard was a good focus of what we did last night. We really did contain him, and I know Fred specifically really had that duty himself. And then the threes. Let's talk about the team stats real quick last night, because honestly, we beat them at the 3-point line last night. That was really, really good. We shot more threes and made more threes, 10 of 30 from 3-point range, while the Blazers were 7 of 24. And that is a team with Simons and Lillard, and those guys like to shoot threes. Well, we shot way more and made more. So 33% from three, and they shot 29. So our defense on the 3-point line was actually super, super sound. And that was a key to the victory yesterday. And it was one that was executed and successfully done by the Raptors. And it did add to their victory. Our field goal percentage was 52%, and as was theirs. Just slightly better was theirs. But we did get way more shots than them once again. Almost, we got 16 more shots on goal than them, and we made 8 more field goals overall the whole game. That is a really important stat for the Raptors, and how they do is getting way more field goal attempts and hopefully making more field goals because of it. The free throw line was way better last night. We had our worst performance at the free throw line on Friday night against Golden State, shooting 60% from the free throw line. Well, last night we shot 94%, missing only 1 out of 18 free throws. That is fantastic. We did not get to the free throw line as many times as Portland did last night. The referees were putting them there a bit more than us, but that didn't matter. We did very much out-rebound them, almost by plus 20, 45 rebounds for the Raptors, 27 for the Blazers, 15 offensive rebounds were in that total for the Raptors. That's fantastic. And it really was guys like Chris and Scottie and Precious crashing the boards. Our assists, 1 shy of the 25 I like to get, but that's fine. I'll take it. There was some good sharing and chemistry in the second half and in different places too. Turnovers, we won 8-12. That's not bad at all. And then the points in the paint, 68 points in the paint. There was a lot of us in the paint, but they were in the paint a lot too, 60 for them. That was really kind of similar to the Golden State thing, that we guard the 3-point line so heavy that it forces either Golden State or Portland to go down low. And they end up getting way more points in the paint than they normally do as a team. Just because in some ways we're not very good down low because we're not playing with a real center. And then also because we're really, really taking the 3-point line from them. They have to go down low. So good job, team stat-wise, by the Raptors. And like I said, those offensive rebounds by guys like Barnes, Van Vliet had 3 offensive rebounds. Precious, 3 offensive rebounds. Boucher, 2, 15 offensive rebounds. Very key also for them to win last night. Nameless is saying, I thought the reactions from the bench were priceless last night, especially Downton and Koloko. Like I said, it has to be fun to know that he's within earshot of you guys, or he's right there. One of the funniest people to ever walk this earth. One of the greatest comedians of our present time, Will Ferrell, sitting right next to the bench. And, Jeff had these crazy smiles on his face when they showed the bench. He's like smiling so big because obviously he's like, wow, this Will Ferrell, movie star, big time. Somebody I've watched since I was a little kid, and I've loved him in movies like Elf and stuff like that. It's like, wow, he's just sitting right there. In some ways, it's kind of starstruck, kind of like Jack Nicholson kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure it was fun for them. It's like who was it? I think it was Oren Weisfeld tweeted. It's like, this is the NBA. You play in college, and then the next year you're in staring contest with Will Ferrell. So Koloko, it's got to be fun for him too. He's coming from Cameroon, and he knows who Will Ferrell is. It's like, man, I love being in the NBA. There's a movie star, and he's bugging me right now. Troy Henry's here. Good to see Troy. That was a fun game. I never think twice if we're going to win last night. Love to see all that Raptors fans in the stands cheering. Yeah, that was awesome. And like, you know what? We just needed a fun game. Like sometimes, the games have not been very fun this year. And you get your allotment, you get a certain amount of games that are just fun for you as a fan of that team. They're not very fun for Trailblazers fan last night, but fun for Raptors fans last night for sure. And it is so nice to see our fans travel so well. And really, we do take over buildings. If we're pretty north, if they're northern teams, we will take over your building if it's close to Canada. Yes, we will. Monique saying, love how Shontai was talking on Twitter after the game. She has a right to. Wow, I did not know that. Of course, I don't know if I'm actually following her or if I'm able to. You might be one of the select few that's in uh, her circle of trust, Monique, because listen, she unfollowed and put up privacy walls. So you're in there, so you can see this, and most people cannot because she's very much put walls around there. Good. I'm glad she was talking trash for her husband and in his name because they deserve to stand up and tell all the haters to go away. Yeah, I like that. Troy's saying, are we going to talk about Fred Block and get that garbage out of here? Yeah, that was fantastic. And like he said, he wanted to have that block counted as a block. He said, don't count it as a steal, NBA. That was a straight up block. I earned it. I earned it. And he really did. It was so cool. There were a couple of moments that were really fun last night. Really, really fun. Nameless saying, it's funny, all the Nick Nurse noise seems to have dissipated. Well, that's part of it too. Like when we win and we have good things going, and Nick is showing very smart coaching adjustments and decisions, especially with the rotation and using the bench a little bit better now. He's improving. And, this is something we got to give credit to Nick too. Before they went on this road trip, he did a little interview and he said, this is what he said exactly. And y'all need to listen to this. He said, we need to play better. We need to coach better. He said that about himself. He realized that like recently he's messed up coaching wise with maybe overplaying the guys or not doing the very good distribution of the minutes and being smart with rest, that he realized that he let it slip. He said, I need to coach better. He literally said that like right before they went on the trip. I need to coach. We need to coach better is what he said. It may mean he means the whole coaching staff and himself, but he's taking accountability for himself and saying he needs to be better. It's just like Fred saying, I need to play better earlier this season. Well, Nick is thinking that way also. And much like a player improves or plays better all of a sudden, we have to allow Nick with coaching to have that opportunity to go through slumps of not coaching well, but then comes back around and he coaches better. In some ways, it's very similar to a player. He's not going to get everything exactly right 100% of the time. That he's going to have coaching slumps where he makes poor decisions and we lose the game because of that. And some people will say, oh, well, that means fire him. And that a lot of people are like that. They will fire somebody real quick when they see it's egregiously a coach's mistake why we lost. Well, Nick is taking ownership that he does realize that he needed to coach better. And I think that that's part of what's happening right now is we're seeing him coach better. And once again, any Nick Nurse haters, Fred VanVleet haters, any of our players haters, just shut the fuck up. It's not necessary, your noise, and it's not helpful. It really isn't. But yeah, I think the Nick Nurse noise is kind of going down. Winning will do this for sure. MSJ saying, ever balanced effort. And I knew the PA would start work well with would work versus the Blazers front court. Yeah, Precious. The thing about Precious that's interesting and a little bit better than Scottie as far as a low post defender is he does kind of get that seal a little bit like Cam would. That listen, this is the thing. That's all I'm asking for is a defensive seal from a low post center on our team defensively. And Precious can do this to a degree. He keeps track of guys better than Scottie. And if he has to get back down near the basket and get in between somebody, either challenge a shot with shot block attempt or just get in the middle with physicality to impede them from making an easy basket. He does that. He reacts better in that kind of way, and he keeps track of people better in that way. That's why him starting at center, even if he didn't jump the jump ball, is a really good look. I think he's actually, like, in some ways, if we don't have Koloko to start at center right away for a couple years, Precious can be our starting center, and he can be very effective at it as far as the things we need a defensive starting center to do. And I like that. I like that in a lot of ways. In some ways, Precious may be the center that we've been looking for, and he's just here. I mean, he'll be that. Watch, trust me, watch. But yeah, really, I liked him starting for sure. And it's cool because Precious, once again, like Gary, doesn't matter if he starts or comes off the bench. He's giving you production no matter what. Cool Cat saying Flynn's hometown, Tacoma, Washington, and BC fans showed up. Yeah, where the game was last night was a big reason why Malachi did get to play. That is kind of his home arena, Portland. Since the Sonics aren't there anymore, Portland's the closest he's going to get, and that is part of the reason why Nick played him, is because that's his home territory up there. You love the chanting. It feels like I felt the energy through the screen. Love to see Scottie engaging our fans in celebration after the game. Yeah, just fantastic. And honestly, those fans that get to go to those games far away, and they don't see the Raptors only come there once a year, and the opportunities to see them there aren't very often, once a year. So this really is special. It's like a special once a year kind of thing for those really diehard Raptor fans that get to the Portland game to watch the Raptors. And you can see just the amount of how many were there that took the time to come across the board. And this is with our team being sub 500 and out of the play-in right now. Meanwhile, here in Toronto, we can't sell Scotiabank Arena out because of our losing. We have so many dedicated, good Raptor fans on the West Coast traveling through a state across Washington from BC to get to Oregon, to Portland, to go to the game last night. Really, really awesome. They showed up. I really appreciated that also. Yeah. And I love hearing them cheer in the game. I know that the in-game ops for Portland, they were trying to crank up the defense chants and the Let's Go Blazers chants, but the Raptors fans were heard also, for sure. Nameless is saying, Troy at 4:37 of the fourth, you must be referring to get it done. Get it done. Yeah, get it done. He's like, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I do. Get it done. Yeah, there were some good sayings last night from Fred last night. MSJ saying Gary really is a base shooting guard. Out of the mix, the ball pops to him and he's ready. There was that one game early season where he had like a 30-0-0-0-0-0 stat line. Laugh out loud. I know we were commenting on this recently about how Gary usually just gets stats for shooting, and he doesn't get a lot of assists, a lot of rebounds, he does get steals. We have to give him that one at least. But yeah, when he gets like a 5 rebound game or more, we really notice it. And we're like, wow, Gary's doing stuff inside. But yeah, last night it was a little bit more less on the stat line. But yeah, he is like that. He is a very much base shooting guard, as you put it. And I'm okay with that. Like, listen, 3 and D, there's some ways we have too many guys on our team that shy away from shooting. We need somebody that will shoot and wants to shoot and is good at it. And that is Gary Trent Jr. Yeah, Jordan Bolton at the beginning of the game, he said max him right away. Like he put it on his Twitter. He said max him now or something like that about Gary, which I get. Cool Cat saying Jason Tatum 7 of 24 Laker game and their team fans didn't trash him. Our Raptors fans are crude when any player has an off night. Let's give grace. PASCAL is consistent except for a handful of games. I know I've been a little hard on him recently, Cool Cat. I know you're a big champion for him, and I do really respect that, and I love that about you, that you speak up him so much. I want to make sure that my criticism of PASCAL isn't hating of PASCAL. I love PASCAL to death, and I think his story is so amazing and should be respected. It really comes from a place of just being critical in a way that I want him to get to the next level. That in some ways I see the little bit of things that he could do to become the next player in his evolution. And that's where I'm kind of pointing it to with the consistency talk about him. That is really the next level of where he can get even better, is if he can find a consistency night in, night out of efficiency. And he's doing great. You're right, and it really is nitpicking in some ways what I'm doing with him, and it really has to do with me wanting him to be his absolute best ever. Now, if he doesn't do exactly what I'm saying, if he doesn't ever find a consistency, he's an amazing player that I'm so happy is on the Raptors, and I want him to be here forever. Trust me. So I think this is important in today's climate of the Raptor fans being critical of the players. That we show that you can be critical of the players, but it's with your heart, with good intentions. It's not just to denigrate someone to feel better about yourself. And the thing with PASCAL really is, I really want him to be the absolute best version of himself that he can be. And he wants that too. And from my educated eye of seeing basketball, this is where I see the next area that he needs to improve in. And that's really the main thing. But I don't want you guys to think that I hate PASCAL. I love PASCAL so much. He's one of my favorite players all time for the Raptors because of who he is and his story in a lot of ways, the way he plays. So, yeah, I will give him grace. And he had a fantastic game last night. Second star of the game. Wasn't as consistent against Golden State. And it is part of why we lost. So, that I want you to know that's where I'm coming from with this. And this is the way we should be if we do want to come from a constructive criticism perspective with the players. Like you can be criticizing Fred, but you've got to give it in a constructive way. And also, we know that you're not just like tearing them down just because you feel like tearing somebody down in some ways. MSJ saying, I don't feel any way about Malachi, as I don't really think he is an NBA material. He is an NBA material. In all seriousness, he should play in China and have a career. Enjoy the A+ high life the Shanghai Sharks has to offer. There's not anything wrong with what MSJ is saying here. Malachi, in some ways, you are not an NBA player. You're not at that complete level. In some ways you are, in some ways you aren't. And I totally kind of agree with MSJ in some ways. And he could go to China and become very, very rich and become a huge celebrity and he could be like a king over there, seriously. And that's not a bad lifestyle in some ways. So I don't know. It's really crazy how, he was a guy when we got him before the Tampa season. I was like, this guy's not going to be around that long. Well, I was wrong. He's still around right now, which is pretty crazy and interesting that he is still around. But, he has a good future for himself no matter what. That's the thing you got to remember, Malachi, is, you are on the Raptors and you will be always forever associated with our team, no matter what, even if you don't fully make it in the NBA. And you can go other places around the world. They'll know who you are and you will do very well financially, no matter what. Yeah, you're going to be fine. Trust me, Malachi, because you can go to another league and you can absolutely be one of the best players in one of those other leagues around the world. Trust me. I know you can, and you will probably if it doesn't totally work out. Nameless saying, I totally agree. Fred VanVleet absolutely stymied Damian Lillard. I mean, let's look at Lillard's stat line for a second, because there are a little bit of like signs in the autopsy of the box score that can tell us what happened with him and Fred. Lillard, 37 minutes, 10 of 20 from the field. Okay, he shot 50%. That's not bad. But 2 of 9 from three, that shows that he was off at three. And when he was shooting those threes, he was very much hitting the back iron and breaking them. It was really weird. It was like he was just slightly off. And when he shot him, I was like, oh, please just miss, just miss, just miss. And boom, he missed. I was like, yes, Lillard is off tonight. This is good. But he was a minus 24, and he had 4 turnovers. Not a super huge amount of turnovers. He did lead their team in turnovers. Then that is sometimes indicative of Fred and Gary being around somebody, is that how many turnovers are they getting? Lillard had a good game, honestly. He led their scorers. And, but, in some ways, there's stuff that Fred did to him on the down low that really hurt them from winning. One of the things about the Blazers was at halftime, they didn't have a single player in double digits. They were all single digit guys, and they had a really hard time getting production from different people on the team. It really was like Lillard and Grant. Jeremy Grant and Dame Lillard were like the main guys. And then Simons got 14 points as the only other person in double digits. That's just too little of the people on the team. I was really impressed with Jeremy Grant. 9 of 19 from the field, 7 of 9 from free throw range, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks, a minus 22 with 26 points. Grant was fantastic. He was really assertive and just really being a pest and annoying. He was the guy on that team that was really trying to help them win as much as possible. I forgot that he is the son of Harvey Grant and that his uncle is Horace Grant. That's so cool. Jeremy Grant is in the Grant family. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. He's a really good character then, obviously, because Horace Grant and Harvey Grant, those were good dudes in the NBA. So yeah, it makes me think, wow, Jeremy Grant's a more attractive player because of his family lineage. And I forgot that he was related to them. I should have put that together. Grant, the last name Grant. Oh, that's Harvey's kid. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. Let's see. Calapoon's here. Good to see Calapoon. Portland as a city has a sketchy, dark energy. I hate to sound like ESPN, but Dame should get out of there. I love the city of Portland. I don't think it's sketchy at all. I think it's an amazing, beautiful city full of very interesting, awesome people. In fact, I think more cities in the United States should be like Portland. It's progressive and forward thinking, and it has free spirits and people that are actually living their lives in certain ways. I know it gets a bad rep. I think that show Portlandia is hilarious. If you want to get a feel for what Portland is like, watch Portlandia with Fred Armisen. It's a crazy show, and I love it. I love sketch comedy, and that is one of my favorite sketch comedy shows of all time, Portlandia. I don't know. I have to disagree with you on this. I know that in some ways, with the Black Lives Matter movement and the different stuff that happened that year in the U.S., Portland had some issues. Seattle also, with people taking over parts of it and having problems with riots and stuff, and it kind of tarnished the image. But I still think that Portland is an amazing city. In fact, it's one of the few cities in the United States that I would live in at this point in my life. I don't want to live in the States ever again. But if I had to and I had to choose a city, well, Portland's on my 10 cities that I would live in out of all the cities in the States. So I got to disagree on this. It may have a dark energy because the Blazers color is black. I don't know. But me personally, I love that city, and I think it's a great place. Troy's saying looks like Dame wanted out to foul out last at one point to me. Foul out last? I mean, I don't know. Listen, he doesn't seem like I said, he seems like he's on cruise control. He can't care too much. He can't care as intensely as he wants to. Sure, he'll care near the end of the year around the playoff time and stuff like that. But still, I don't think he cares. It's just his fire isn't as strong burning as it was maybe earlier in his career when he was younger. Logical here, Mike. Good morning, Mike. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Logical Raptors fanatic. Just watch the replay. Good game. A lot of precious, and he's looking. Hang on. I jumped. He's looking great at the moment. Yeah, Precious looked real good last night. Yeah. Thank you, Mike, for checking in. Gee, unfortunately, the new target is OG. Some fans have started turning on him. These idiots. Oh my gosh. OG didn't play last night, y'all. Oh my gosh. Listen, in absentia, you're going to come after OG. OG's hurt. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, some people are just lost cause. And like I said, some of these people aren't Raptor fans. They're very much agent provocateurs that are put into our fan nation that because of the social media and the way things are, you can be anonymous and be acting like you're somebody else. Well, these are Celtics fans. These are Sixers fans. These are Cleveland Cavalier fans. They're masquerading as Raptor fans, or maybe they're fans of a couple different teams and they put more stock into other teams that they follow or care about over the Raptors, even though they're born in Toronto, from Toronto, and say they're Raptor fans. They are not, because they choose other teams over the Raptors when they're in a losing season. They start becoming more Warriors fans or Lakers fans or Sixers fans even. They turncoat like that. They'll turncoat within our division for like the Nets or the Cavaliers. They'll be like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be a Raptor fan. You were a Raptor fan when we won the championship. You were wearing Raptor stuff. But now all of a sudden you're talking up the Nets versus us? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, you're a turncoat. That's basically what these people are. They just pick their team to be like, I want to be on the winning side. The Raptors are losing. I'm turning my back on them, and I'll start cheering for another team. Yeah, anybody who's coming at OG today, you're stupid. Shut up. Cool Cat saying the hate energy being spurned by a special YouTube show is so disappointing. Thank goodness our guys are pros and stick together. I love Fred VanVleet's wife and mom's response to his performance last night. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's what I want to hear. Well, these awful negative voices need to be drowned out or at least equalized with positive, loving voices coming from places like us, coming from places like family and friends, coming from good fans that are out there on social media writing stuff that is in support of the team. When these idiots are coming out with this hate special YouTube show, I don't even know which one you're talking about. I don't even know. We have a jar around here that says something, but we don't use it that much, very much recently because we've forgotten who this person is. And maybe there's other ones that are just like them. It could be ambiguously just poor Raptors content that's negative. We're talking about trade talks and talking about firing Coach Nurse, getting rid of Fred VanVleet, all this stupid ass shit that negative Raptor fans are saying right now. Yeah. Nope, we ain't about that here. MSJ saying Fred VanVleet talk, laugh out loud. Last month, I wanted to lower his field goal attempts to 12. He took 13 last night. Get the assists to 8. He had 9 last night. He was playing hero ball. Nothing wrong with pointing out poor team play. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what I'm saying. Like you can see a player and what they're doing and say, wow, I wish that they could adjust what they're doing just slightly because it would be more efficient or helpful to the team winning overall. And I think in some ways what MSJ is saying about his criticisms of Fred from a month ago, well, he's seeing some results in the changes, and it's adding up to what he kind of thought would happen if he just lower his field goal attempts and increase his assists. And I that's astute, and that's true. That is exactly kind of part of the change, and things are helpful. But to Fred's credit, the reason why he shot so much before is because of injuries and the necessariness of him to carry water to help us win. So in some ways, he's learning to trust the other guys more to not have to score or shoot as much. And they're getting those field goal attempts now. And that is very much good, and it is the right way. But that's the thing. Amongst your noise of saying this, there's a lot of other people that are saying nasty things about it. And it's hard to paint everything with the same brush and say, oh, well, what MSJ's saying about Fred is a lot different than asshole who has a YouTube channel. But they're all kind of negative about Fred. So it's kind of all bad. I would say this this is the way I do it. If everybody's coming after PASCAL, I leave him alone. Nobody's really coming after PASCAL right now, so I can talk a little bit of critical about him. And it's not that I'm trying to turn people on him or tell them that we want to trade him or anything. But if they're really coming after Fred, I shut up. I won't be critical of him because there's so much unnecessary, unfair noise. I don't want to add to it. So pick your spots about when you're criticizing the players. Sure, that's a valid concern. But when there's so much noise around one player specifically at that time, maybe just hold on to it and save it for another time, because you'll be adding to the negative noise, even if your heart is in the right place and you're sending constructive criticism. That's kind of how I deal with it. Like if people are really coming after Nick, I'll lay off of him. But if they're not on him, then I'll get on him a little bit. And it's not that I'm trying to get people to get on him. It's just like I've been describing, the critical criticism, constructive criticism is important in some ways, especially if you're seeing things that you feel like could help the team. But they're helpful. And what it sounds like MSJ is describing is something he saw a month or so ago, and it's starting to happen, and it has been helpful. G saying that it was more than pointing out poor team play. There were false stories of his camp leaking stories, him being toxic in the locker room, stories to make people hate him personally. Yes. And that's G's describing the negative, really bad negative stuff. Attacking Shontai in Twitter, like to her face in the comments. Yeah, that's a bad look. Just respect the family and friends of the players and stop like engaging with them in ugly ways on social media. You are not Raptor fans if you do this. I'm telling you, if you get that far with you wanting to have your opinion out there and be heard, and you're like denigrating the family and friends of the player on social media, you've gone too far and you're crazy. You have gone too far and you're crazy. You should not be engaging directly with people like that. It is very, very toxic. Very toxic. Mike saying, I talked on Precious's money in my series. I gave him 3 years at $54 million. So similar to the OG deal at the moment without the fourth-year player option is a reasonable target range to pencil him in. Yeah, Aaron Rose had him at 4 years at $60 million. So that is $15 million a year for 4 years after his rookie contract runs out. So, yeah, Mike, I highly recommend you to go look at Aaron Rose's breakdown of the salary cap with the luxury tax and us keeping everybody together. He has it out there on his account on Twitter right now. MSJ saying, I heard that Nova's take too. The person had nothing to do with my analysis of 23. Yeah, I think that I did a good job of really delineating the difference between what maybe MSJ was saying last month and what idiots were saying. And I don't need to go any further with it. And I get it because MSJ put it out there very clearly, the things, the gripes he has. And like now we're seeing that these adjustments are kind of happening naturally anyway on the team because people are stepping up around Fred to take some of the burden off of him. It's really the high field goal attempts by him is not a good thing and is indicative that nobody else is stepping up and trying to shoot. It's not necessarily that he wants to take all those shots or he's being a ball hog. It's just that he's felt like he has to because nobody else is stepping up to take care of the game is usually why Fred has so many field goal attempts. G saying MSJ's analysis has been fair, but the toxicity towards Fred has been real, just like it was towards PASCAL. Some fans made it personal. Yeah. And once again, I really tried to delineate the difference between constructive criticism and just toxic, like nitpicking and being an asshole. And I think I've been pretty clear on this as far as like already, and I won't comment any further on this. Monique saying, how much minutes does Dalano play, even if any? Wow. Okay. Well, Delano's supposedly going to be ready to play tomorrow against Pheonix. His hip is supposedly be better, and he may be available tomorrow. I don't know. It's the Suns. It's a fun kind of game. We'll have to see how it goes. He's really kind of out of the radar on a couple of different places. In some ways, we might need Delano to not. He won't play on this road trip, possibly. He may not get to play at all this road trip. But when we get back, I'd like to see them send him down to 905 and get some rehab games. And then let's try and get him involved with the rotation on the Raptors main squad level a little bit more as the season goes on. And hopefully by the end of the season, maybe he can be a contributor in the rotation somehow, some way, even if it's part-time rotation. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Dalano. I know he's been having a tough year. There are a couple different reasons, but keep your head held high, Rexdale, and you'll get it back on going 45 bucks. We believe in you and we love you, Toronto's son, Dalano Banton. We know you're going to get it back together and you're going to be out there contributing to our team to win. Mike's saying, MSJ, fair take. Hero Ball has a type negative baggage that doesn't actually apply to Fred and us. Fred went hero ball mainly from the injuries in youth, non-scores. The plan was like Fred was like yesterday, grow others. Now, see, Mike is kind of, once again, I was talking about this just now, is that he had to carry the weight. A lot of times when Fred is shooting so much, he's carrying the weight of everybody else and trying to lift us towards the win. And that's what Mike's saying here too. Duke saying, I saw Locked On Kings and Raps discuss an OG for Keegan and Davion Mitchell. I know this would upset some, but Chua looked really good last night. What say you? Also, do we want to keep Fred based on salary? Okay, these are a lot of good questions in here, Duke Rocks, and I appreciate you being here. A great original Raptors freak from last year, Duke Rocks. All right, that deal is OG for Keegan Murray and Davion Mitchell. Wow, that's tough because those are two young players that are really up and coming. And Keegan Murray is absolutely fantastic for sure. I still love OG, and I don't think it's worth it to me. And a lot of people say this when you make a deal in the NBA, if you're the team getting one player and the other team's getting two, you won the deal. If you're getting the premium player that's absolute the best, and you're getting two players for that guy, it's usually the team that's getting the two players doesn't have as good of a deal or gets better because of it. Because think about it this way. They're taking Keegan Murray off the team and you're replacing him with an older vet, OG, who's better and can do more for them right now. And then you're bringing two younger guys that still have more development time for us. Plus that Davion Mitchell, roster spot is taking another roster spot from our team. Meanwhile, the Kings have opened up their roster for flexibility to go and maybe get another player. And you don't know what that replacement for Davion Mitchell could be in that spot. It could be an upgrade also. So I'm not a big fan of trading one for two in the direction where we're getting the two. I'd much rather be the one that's getting the one in the deal. So I don't necessarily like this deal. And it would upset me, sure. If OG's getting traded, it's going to upset people, sure. Achua did look really good last night, but once again, just because one guy looks really, really good, it's kind of like the Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady thing. Doesn't mean we can't have all of them still together and staying together. I mean, I know Achua looks like, well, do we need OG as much? Well, it's much better to have these incredible defenders around overall as an ensemble doing as much as possible. You're playing music, you know how bands are. You get more members of the band, they're very gifted, that music gets better. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we want to keep the really premium good defenders on our team because it is a really big part of how our team works. And we don't have enough OGs and Preciouses on this team. We're not going to do as well for sure. And like, even not having OG last night, it showed. It showed like we were missing a couple things that he does for us. And all right, for Fred with the salary thing, listen, once again, Fred in some ways is going to get paid for stuff already done for the team that we're paying him in reward for time served already. And it's not all totally based on future prospects of output, that it has to do with what he does for the team as a leader, as a person who's like part of the culture, as a person who's like in charge of certain things for us. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with his offensive output or even his role or how big it is. I think that you want to just keep him around because you need to pay that price tag. And I think that once again, I don't think he's a selfish dude or very much wanting to hurt the team from being able to win. So we're willing to work within the money numbers that will help the team still be able to sign everybody and keep it together. So I trust Fred in that way. And that's why I'm not worried about overpaying him, or people may think he's overpaid after this contract because of how much he actually produces. And I disagree because there's so much intangibles, there's so much accrued, there's so much things he's done that make it worth it, that make it absolutely worth paying him what we're going to pay him. So no matter what the number is, people may be critical of it and say, that's way too much. He's not as good. He's declining. Well, I don't give a shit. Pay him that money. It's very much a similar situation to how I was feeling about Lowry near the end of his time with the Raptors. When we were thinking about, well, do we pay him money to keep him around? That last year he was with us. I was like, in some ways, I was saying, yes, you do. Because in some ways, what he has and what he gives to our team is immeasurable. And that's what I'm trying to say about Fred, that he's on that scale of immeasurable with us in some ways, as far as how important his intangibles are to our team. Cool Cat saying, I love how fans came out to see PASCAL pre-game show now. It's a big hit. After he did his football skills and then dunked, the crowd went wild. Love the pre-show. Our franchise player is becoming a legend. Yeah, listen, there's all kinds of different trends that are happening in Raptors Nation that I love. And I feel like this channel and Raptor Freak Cult has a little bit to do with it. If we can start the defense chance every single time the other team has the ball, no matter what, no matter where we are, that's fantastic. We can start people getting to the games early so that they can be there and start that atmosphere early on in the arena. That's fantastic too. It's really good to go to the game early because things like this happen. You get to see special moments like PASCAL's pregame ritual of dribbling the ball football style, kicking it all around, and then hitting it with his head, and then throwing it down the guys near the basket, and then they throw an alley-oop, and he throws the dunk down. Yeah, that's special and fun, and it is becoming something like LeBron James's chalk throw. It's a kind of a pregame ritual at this point with PASCAL and his soccer skills there. But yeah, I love all of that, Cool Cat. It was a really cool to see the interaction with the autographs and the fans and the players with the Raptors in Portland last night. Really, really good. Forgetful saying, good afternoon. Slept in. Is it afternoon yet? It's like, I've been on this long. Slept in. These late nights wear out an old man. Fred showed the ignoramuses. I love that word. Please, can we have that more in the stream? Ignoramuses. I love that he used that word. How clutch players play, how leaders lead. Precious is a star. Thank you, Forgetful, the sorcerer. Forgetful, the powerful sorcerer. You know what? Listen, these late night games have wreaked havoc on me also. I woke up at 9:20. Once again, I'm like, oh, I have an internal alarm clock. I don't have an alarm. And I really gamble because I can sleep, like especially these late night games, because I was up till like 3 in the morning watching the interviews and doing everything I do after the game to like check things like with the box score and everything. And I'm like, all right, you're going to go to sleep and you got to get up. Well, I must have that Kramer internal clock because I wake up. It could be like 9:28 and I know I've got to do my stream in 2 minutes. I'll wake up and I'll be like, and then I'll run. I'll get it all set up and go on and wing it. Well, today it was 9:20. So I did it all getting ready for being on the air in 10 minutes after opening my eyes from being asleep. There's still some crumbies in my eye. I gotta probably wipe out right now. So I'm with you, Forgetful. These late nights for old men like us are a little bit challenging for sure. Tomorrow's game is at 9 p.m. So a little bit earlier on the Monday night game for the Phoenix Suns, which is good. Mike's saying Fred VanVleet versus Nasir Little. Trash talk moment was funny. Fred came back with some fire for them. I'm glad you brought this up, Mike, because this is an incident that I wanted to talk about today, and I probably would have forgotten without your cue. That was an interesting play because it was all about like rebounding and positioning and just being like round the basket. And Fred's down there mixing it up with a bigger guard, Nasir Little. And it's one point Fred didn't like some of the contact between him, so he came right back and got right up in his face. And there's a difference of height, and you're just like, wow, Fred is like really tough, dude. It's scary. And the crazy thing was, Little kind of like hedged back. It's like, whoa, I'm sorry. And like afterwards, it was really interesting because they were describing this, Alvin Williams and Matt Devlin, that Nasir had to come to Fred and say, are we okay? I apologize if I pissed you off. Like it mattered to him whether Fred was pissed at him or not because he respects him and looks up to him that much. So that is something that was really cool too to see because that's kind of like a benchmark, like a milestone in a career that I didn't realize that Fred has that kind of cred in the league. That opposing players that are younger than him may look up to him and that he's that kind of character guy that it's like I care about whether I'm in good graces with him or not. Because Little really did kind of kowtow to him, and then later on apologized to him and said, "Look, whatever I did to you, I didn't mean to do it. It was unintentional. And you know what? You matter to me, what you think of me." Is basically what happened in that whole situation, and that really just shows the general respect that people have for Fred in the league. There you go, Fred haters. Once again, look at that. That's how powerful Fred is. Opposing players care about what he thinks about them. That was a good moment, and I'm glad you brought it up, Mike. G saying players cutting to the basket is making it easier for the ball movement. Much better off-ball movement recently. Juancho doesn't score much, but I believe he has helped his teammates in this regard. Just like Yuta Watanabe is an energy, a rub off. He's somebody who comes out there and he has that kind of energy on the court. It just is infectious. Everybody else starts getting woo. It could be very similar with Juancho in the team play, in the cutting, in the movement off the ball. Well, people in practice may be like, wow, Juancho just did a really cool cut. And look how easy he got a basket. Maybe I could be more like Juancho or think more like Juancho. Like, what would Juancho do? It's like, what would Jesus do? What would Juancho do? Well, he would cut. He would move this way and he'd get open and get a nice, easy lay-in or dunk because he made a really smart cut in the team scheme. And I think that you're right. I think that he does rub off on some of the other guys. I really love the cuts with Precious near the basket. Some of the stuff where they're lurking, him and Scott, they're really good at like getting the ball to these guys in the low post and then letting them attack it right near like the basket down there. I love that stuff so much. And the way that Scottie passes to people on this team all over the place, whether it's Gary in the corner for a three, whether it's like that first basket that Precious made was a Scottie assist where he dumped it to him and he got an easy dunk. Yeah, this is all fantastic stuff. And I think you're right. Juancho is like a leader on this team for stirring the pot, stirring the drink, stirring the whole court. to keep the offense moving and not stagnating in not movement. He is always moving. And that is a role model and an influence on the other guys. Like I said, they see him get some easy shots doing his cuts and stuff. I'm like, I want to do that more too. I'm going to be more like Juancho. MSJ saying at Mike, true enough. I just saw what I saw, and now I am seeing a balanced team. And yeah, Nick Nurse knew his coaching needed a tweak. Anyways, cheers. Why no donation button, by the way? Well, I appreciate that, MSJ, that you have that inclination. I'm not doing this for the money. But you know what? That down the road, it may get monetized to a degree. As far as like when I get 1,000 subscribers, I'll be able to do super chats in here. So if there is something that you guys like about what I say at that point, you will be able to send me a tip or a donation at that point. But we're not at that level yet. But we'll get there. I know we will. It may not be right away for a bit, but I have no problem with it. But yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, Nick is being honest with himself. I think that that's the problem with coaches. They get too much like, I know what I'm doing and I'm not going to change. Well, Nick isn't that kind of guy. And that's part of the reason why I like him for being our coach for long term. Is that some coaches are stubborn and very much old dogs that can't learn new tricks, especially because a lot of them are older. Well, Nick's smart. He's a student. He's always reading. He loves music. He has many different interests. And he's smart enough to know that he can learn things still and that he's not always right and that he does screw up. But he's smart enough to know this so that he can adjust and hopefully not make the same mistakes repeatedly because of how stubborn he is. And that's why I will fight to keep Nick Nurse on this team, even if he's fucking up, because I know he'll adjust and he'll fix it. And he's more likely to re-educate himself as an older coach in the league than other older coaches in the league. I'm not that he's an older coach. He's not. He's a young coach. But I'm just saying, a lot of coaches are like that. Casey, that was a big knock with him, that he just does not re-educate or change his style of coaching. He just doesn't. That's just who he is. Casey is who he is. He is who he is. Well, Nick is different. He can actually change and morph over time. And that's why it really is like I want him to be our Popovich. Because if he's coaching this team for like 30 years, it'll be really good for our team. Trust me. And he will change with this league as the basketball morphs and changes and changes over time. Seriously, he's that kind of guy. In fact, he'll be the trendsetter. He'll be the guy who's setting up how it changes through his innovation. So Nick Nurse is exactly who we want as a coach for a long, long time. Trust me, because he's honest with himself and he will fix things. And some coaches don't have that. They really don't. Daddy Gates is saying, "Oh no, I'm still Nick's ass. I'm still on Nick's ass with his coaching. I give him credit for now listening to his assistants. It's obvious they're running a different offense over the last week, and it's working. It's weird because they're still doing the flex offense. They haven't abandoned the flex offense. It's still involved in everything that they're doing. In fact, it's still the base framework of the offense. It's just that you know what it is? The players are really, like we said, they're getting more connected with each other and in tune with what each other likes and how easy it is to get them these balls and making it easier shots for each other. And that is just a really, really big, huge, fantastic improvement. In some ways we were becoming one-trick ponies. In certain ways, people look at our team and they're like, okay, Fred likes to do this, PASCAL likes to do this. And we really mess that up. So we have to constantly reinvent ourselves. And part of it is the really fertile ground of reinventing ourselves is in players like Scottie and Precious, because they have new stuff that they're bringing that nobody knows or sees. And their development. And as they get better, they reinvent the Raptors and what we do with our offense and our MO. And that is going to help things also, is that'll help things stay fresh and have other teams have to adjust and figure out, oh shit, these are new problems that we've never had to deal with the Raptors. So yeah, we're used to dealing with Fred. We're used to dealing with PASCAL. But now we got to deal with Precious and Scottie too. So it's like the development of the players will help keep things fresh for the coach and their strategy and how they do things. But yeah, I think, and once again, Daddy Gates is similar to MSJ as being a constructive criticism of Nick. I know that he said that he kind of wanted to get rid of him at times in the last couple months, but I hope he's kind of let go of that a little bit. And maybe what I just said about Nick and his mindset and how he sees the game will help win you over to understand why I like Nick Nurse being the long-term coach for us, no matter what. I don't want to fire him no matter what. Mike saying balance is key. So growing OG on ball and Scottie more versatility and able to finish through man contact, growing Gary Trent Jr.'s playmaking, growing Spicy's off ball sets, working Precious on and off ball, etc. Yeah, these, like I said, these are new tricks, new looks, new offensive weapons, new things that people have not figured out how to deal with. And in fact, these are the things you have to strive for constantly on your team. This is why players have to get better in the offseason and have new tricks the next year, is because look, Portland could have the same core for 10 years with Lillard and McCollum and different players, and they have the same stuff, but it's the same. It doesn't get any further. That's why you have to get better. That's why you have to be Pascal Siakam and work every season's off season so hard to add more to your game, to keep them guessing and keep them trying to figure out how to beat you. Nako's saying the biggest thing with Precious is that as long as he's not playing dumb, he's great. Him and Scottie could be a top 5 duo. They really could. Seriously. Like, people are really sleeping on the potential of our 2 young Raptors around the league. I mean, they'll see flashes of brilliance and they'll see them when we come and play them. But overall, nobody wants to talk about Precious. It's amazing how nobody gives him any spotlight or talks about him. Or even like, I mean, when he was on Miami, sure, they talked about him being a rising star and being all this kind of stuff. But now he's been in Toronto. He's not getting as much pub down south. Well, that's fine. Let him be like a submarine and submerged in secrecy away from their visible eyes. And he will rise up and he will destroy them when the time is right. In some ways, we don't want people to talk about Precious like they talk about Scottie, because there's nobody coveting him, kind of like they covet Scottie. And we don't want them to start coveting Precious and trying to draw and lure him out of Toronto also. So, in some ways, him being like not really paid attention to is really good. It's really, really good. Let's see. Paul B saying Precious is such an X factor. If he has a good game, we win, period. He has been a huge X factor for us getting back to winning again. That without him for 2 months, we saw what we lacked. And now we see what we got with him here. Thanks for the comment, Paul B. And I hope you're doing real good in Wisconsin, brother. Cool Cat saying, Raptor Freak, my comments, players off night is not about you or fans giving constructive criticism. My disappointment is the crazy disrespectful talk on Twitter and YouTube. I know. I just wanted to take the opportunity to clarify with it. And I know there's way, way worse stuff that people are saying that is really out of pocket, insulting, personal. Some of it is racial. Some of it is really ugly, disgusting, awful things. Yeah, that's like the stuff with Pascal after the bubble. The stuff with Freddie this season. Yeah, it's all very. I know you're making that distinction, and I didn't think you were coming at me about it, but I did want to make it clear about how how I've recently been treating Pascal. It's not that I don't like him or I hate him or anything. I really wanted to make it clear how I was going about that. So, in some ways, you want to teach people how to be constructively critical, instead of just being assholes. And like some ways, it's okay. You can have opinions, you can have feelings about things, but come at it in a constructive way instead of just a destructive way. And that's a lot of what the difference is. The behavior is going to happen. People are going to be negative. They're going to act like this. Well, maybe we can teach them how to be constructive with it. And that's helpful in some ways. I don't know, but I'm with you. It's so it's crazy. It's just social media is just this way that people can just say whatever the fuck they want and they don't have any repercussions. They can just be really fucking awful. And it's horrible. I hate it. I hate it so much in some ways, especially when they're coming at people that we care about, like Pascal Siakam. Daddy is saying Horace back in the day with that free throw line jumper of his. Yeah, Horace Grant. Woo! I used to love Horace on the Magic when he had the blue glasses and he was playing with Shaq and Nick Anderson. It was good stuff. Fun guys here. Woo! Yeah, don't drop your phone, Seymour. Mike saying OG is fine. He's working through on-ball finishing and mid-range stuff, the next level for him. The Kawhi-like stuff we have been talking about for years, and it's being done and worked on now, and people flip. I know. It is whatever. Like we said, they can't go after Fred as much right now because Fred is pretty solidified and playing well and having good things happening. So they're just going to pick somebody apart. Well, at least they're picking somebody who's not playing. It's too bad. It is too bad that we just have fans that just have to have somebody to target and be negative towards. It's stupid. Omari's saying, so I got called out for being a casual fan for saying Fred should just lead instead of saying he's a leader. I'm a day one fan, and I should be allowed to criticize my team without being called a casual. Ooh. Was that here? If I did that, I apologize, Amari. But if that was somewhere else, I don't. I don't think you're a casual fan. You've been here all along. I've always found that your opinions have been very good in this channel. So I don't think it's coming from us. You know, you got called out. Was that here? Like when he said he should you said just lead instead of saying he's a leader. You mean just say, do it. Don't just say it. Like words don't matter. Just do it. Like actions speak louder than words is what you're saying. Okay. Well, maybe this is part of what we've seen. Like since you said that is maybe he's turned around. He's actually doing the actions, and following up behind the words with that. So I would say that he has been more like this. Are you happier with him more recently, Amari, as far as like what Fred's doing with the team, as far as his sharing the ball and passing it to people instead of just shooting it himself? I'm very curious to know, for real, seriously. Um, yeah, you're totally allowed to criticize a team without being called a casual. Listen, you care. You show up here. We know you're not a casual. I mean, you're on the Raptor Freak YouTube channel very often. So yeah, I think this is somewhere else you're having problems with this. But if there is anything here, we'll clarify it for sure. You're very much a respected Raptor Freak, somebody that we really do like and care about here. You're an OG for sure. Mike saying, I've been on the third year, and is the third year players show more of what they will be in the future, and a third year is key in determining where a player will be. I saw a lot coming from Precious from the off season. Yeah, I mean, this is an important part of your rookie contract. You know, they got to figure out whether they want to extend it for the fourth year option and different things like that. So yeah, third year is also a portend to their whole rest of their career. If they haven't learned much in their first 2 years and they're just kind of staying where they are in development, well, you're kind of like, yeah, this guy's not going anywhere. Well, that's the thing. You got to see improvement and see amazing things like what Precious is doing. So yeah, I like that, Mike. I like that you're bringing out the third year is the year that you got to see what they are, and they'll tell you for the future. Omari saying the team has been bad all year, and real fans don't like it. I'm never going to jump ship, but I will say Fred plays selfish, or OG needs to stop falling, or Nick's rotations are suspect. We just want to win. Yeah, I mean, look, like once again, listen. In some ways, you're somebody who's been here a lot, and I'll give you a chance to be absolutely negative and tear the team down as much as you want because you're already known. My problems are with people that I don't know coming in this channel, and from the first foot they step in is very negative, and they don't have a pre-established connection with us, knowing that they're a real one, somebody that does care about the team and their heart's in the right place. So that's kind of the difference here in some ways. Like you have to come in and show me that you're a real one and a real fan, and then later on you have more license to be critical of the team because I know your heart's in the right place, and I know that definitely about you. Trust me, Omar. I know that definitely about you. In fact, if y'all need a house to rent or to buy or any kind of thing, you need a housing solution in the 905. You can look up Omari Parsons in the phone book. He is a realtor and he will help you find a place to live. Omari Parsons in the phone book. Seriously. Now, as far as your criticisms, I don't think Fred plays selfish. I think that's a bad blanket statement to just say about him. I think he's had to be selfish because of the way our team has been at certain times, and that's fair. But I don't think he's a selfish person, like in his personality. And OG needs to stop falling. He's just clumsy. He's just clumsy sometimes. Nick's rotations have been suspect at times, but they're a little bit better more recently. When that losing time was happening, boy, there would be times he was riding the starters way too long, and it was pissing me the hell off. Yeah, David is here. Good to see David S., our leader in the Raptor Freak trivia right now. David, Shanky's coming up. You got to be careful. You got to show up for the next one. I know we got a Tuesday off in the early in February that we're going to do trivia again. So be careful. I know you've held off for a little bit, but Shanky's getting closer. OG seems too good to let go of. I like that. I like that comment. I think you're right. He's too good on both ends of the court. In the defensive end, he's really, really too good to let go of. But there's things on the offensive end that are still developing, like Mike was saying, about things that can make him a little bit more Kawhi-like. He won't be like Kawhi completely, But there are a lot of things that Kawhi does that OG can do also offensively. And we want to explore more of that with him in a Raptors jersey and not in another jersey, like all these stupid ass rumors this week. Cool Cat saying, I want us to keep our core Pascal, Fred, OG, Scotty, Precious, Gary, Coloco, and use the GS model developing and get a bench. MLSE has money. Yeah. Like I said, Cool Cat, go check out Aaron Rose's Twitter this morning. He has it all laid out for us exactly how we can do this. To say all the naysayers that we got to get rid of people or do this or do that. No, we don't, because we've been shown how we can do it. It may be expensive, but it may be very much worth it because we win championships. Nako saying, I don't know what the trade would look like, but I think there's a 60% chance someone overpays for Pascal or OG trade. Well, that's the thing. If we're going to make these guys go anywhere, we want to make it worth our while. We better get overpaid for them because we've invested a lot of development in them and we want to continue to get the rewards for it. You guys, somebody else wants to get those rewards added to their team because they're a buyer and they think that they're a championship contender. They want one more person to put them over the top. Yeah, we're fleecing them. We want a lot. We want 4 first-round picks. If you want OG Anunoby, maybe 5 even. Pascal, that's going to be like, I need a premium player and like 4 first-round picks. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. But yeah, I'm not even thinking about them getting traded or thinking about what the deals are. I know there's a lot of people putting all kinds of bullshit out. I don't care. It's like Nick Nurse said recently. He actually said this. He's like, how many different trade rumors do we hear every day, every year, every month? 5,000, thousands of them. And how often do trades actually happen in this league? Very, very seldom. So it's like 1 in like 10,000 chance of a trade happening. This is Nick Nurse's own mouth in the last couple days saying it's like, that's why we don't talk about trades or care about trades, is because the percentage of trades happening or all the different trades that get put out there, they're bullshit. And hardly any of them actually ever happen or come to fruition. And I just wish that more people would treat the NBA like this. That like, fuck, trades are like very uncommon and they're just stupid fan speculation. I call them fan fiction and it's dumb. It's like really, they're not something that people enjoy in the league for the most part. The players hate them. Unless they're in a team that they really hate and they don't like being on, the trade is not welcome a lot of times. So it's like, oh yeah, I want to get out of here. Sure, Rui Hashimura. I want to go to the Lakers, play with LeBron. I don't like playing for Washington. Sure, I'm all about that. But like that's the thing. It's like these guys like playing for Toronto, so none of them really want to get traded from here. And like we said, like Nick said, these trades don't happen very often. Trades are not a very common occurrence, especially for the Raptors. So hold your breath and know that the percentage of any trades happening is not very high overall. So let's see. Miles Turner is saying if Miles Turner is getting 30 million a year, salaries are going to shock people this year with caps going up. So we can't get too stuck on the money stuff. CG's right. There's going to be a new TV deal, and it's going to change all the money structure with the pay in the NBA. And there is a little bit of a battle at the top going on between the owners and the players about what percentage of the pie should go to the players. And the players, they don't want a cap on what they can earn. And the owners do want a cap on what they can earn. They're saying enough's enough. So what if profits are going up and up and up? We should be able to stop what you guys can make at a certain height. And the players are like, that's bullshit. Fuck that shit. And they're right. If the owners are making a higher proportion of profits because of new TV deals and all this stuff, the players should benefit from it in the right way also. And that's a whole big struggle at the top right now with the Players Association and the owners, is they got to figure out the new salary cap and whether the owners really, really want to cap how much money the players can make and just say there's a rule. You can't make this much money. That's the absolute top and that's it. But the players don't want any kind of cap like that at all, obviously. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all works. And I love that G's bringing this up, is that it may seem like this money's tight and we can't pay everyone, but the cap is evolving and changing. And this new TV deal will add some stuff. And Miles Turner's deal is signaling this change in what's happening. He's getting paid more. Now, people are saying, well, he just re-up with Indiana. That means he's not going to get dealt. Well, that's not exactly true. They're saying that he may still get dealt, even though he got this new extension with the Pacers. So we'll have to see. Mike's saying there's a value in completing his story here the right way. In the future, a star may have a choice between us and Boston, and the way we invested in an undrafted guy all the way to the top. Fred is IT, like Isaiah Thomas from Boston. Um, I think this is true. I think that there is value in him completing his entire story just with our team. And I'm totally all about Fred being a Raptor for life. I'm not like these other people. I can see where his role is worth the money he's getting paid. No matter what, he stays here, even if he's not even a main starter or anything. He could be a bench guy and older, and I would still love to have him on this team. He's going to have good things for us no matter what. Name was saying, I had to wake up and watch the game early this morning. No way I was able to stay up past 11 and watch. Zero chance. Well, you know what? You got a good Sunday morning fun this morning watching the game early this morning. Hey, you do it however you got to. I mean, I totally understand. It's not easy to watch these games late. And, you do need a nap. Cool Cat saying, we have three very strong power players, OG, Scottie Precious, a slithering, graceful PASCAL, the FU threes from Fred, and fire spree style of Gary Trent Jr., Slim Duck Boucher, very entertaining, energetic team. Yeah, a lot of weapons and a lot of fun to watch. I thought it was cool that it was mascot night last night in Portland. They had a bunch of mascots visiting, including the Oregon Duck from Chris's alma mater. I wonder if that was weird for Chris to be at the game, seeing his old mascot from his college days run around. Now, the Oregon Duck did not do good in the mascot competitions in between the game. They lost every single time to that Oregon Beaver. The Beaver against the Duck. It was Oregon State Beaver against Oregon Duck. And that classic civil war, as they put it in the in-game ops, between the Beaver and the Duck. And the Beaver beat the Duck every single time, really badly. In fact, that Duck can't dunk. They had the mascot dunk competition at halftime, and that duck cannot dunk. It didn't even try. It ran up and fell over. It's like, what the? That's really bad. And then, of course, the football mascot won the dunk competition. That doesn't make any sense. That the Blitz, the Seahawk from Seattle, won the dunk competition. He dunked the football. I mean, you got Slamson, you got Boomer, you got Champ from Dallas Mavericks. These are good dunking mascots, especially Boomer from Indiana. I don't know. Anyway, enough of the commentary on the mascot dunking competition at halftime. That's the inside stuff you get on the Raptor Freak channel. Yeah, I wonder if Slim Duck was enjoying seeing the duck mascot at the game last night. But yeah, we do have a varied attack, and I do really like this collection of talent that the Raptors have right now. I really, really do. Monique saying, I'm doing my game day reaction so late, so don't feel bad, guys. I know. I think I was still up when you put it up finally, Monique. It was like around 3 or 4 in the morning, like when you finally put it up. I did notice that. Duke's saying, for me, it's a question of roles and having the right people to fill those roles. OG justifiably demands a bigger role. Based on the current health of the Raptors, I'm seeing there being movement coming. I don't know if OG does actually demand more of a role offensively. I mean, I think he's fine with what he's doing. He can have good games where he just steps up and goes, but I don't like putting the ball in his hand too much. In fact, it's very much like the criticism I've had of PASCAL recently, that these guys just aren't efficient with the ball. They're not as efficient as Gary, Precious, or Scottie. These guys are way more efficient. It's almost like our three older Raptors, our champion Raptors, OG, Fred, and PASCAL, are less offensively efficient than Scottie, Precious, and Gary. That those guys are way more likely to get buckets and finish and make their shots than those other three guys that I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. So in some ways, we can make the argument that Precious demands a bigger role, that Scottie demands a bigger role, that Gary demands a bigger role. That's what I'm saying. Like, they all kind of demand a bigger role. And if they eat more into Fred and PASCAL's roles, so be it. There's nothing wrong with that. It makes it easier. There's less heavy lifting for guys like Fred and PASCAL when these guys are demanding bigger roles. But as much as you say OG justifiably demands a bigger role, I think that those other guys justifiably demand a bigger role also. Precious, Scottie, Gary. What do you do? You just got to be equitable. You got to be as democratic as possible and get all those guys going all at once because the team will be better because of it. If there is some movement coming, so be it. Once again, we see pictures of sour faces from Bobby and Masai at the game. They just have these faces. It's just like they have to take a shit or something. I don't know what's wrong with them right now. They're thinking real hard, is what they're doing. Logical saying that's exactly it. The growth changes how things look, and the coach adjusts and grows the options in the core players to be more complex machine. Correct on the offense evolving. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Like I said this like a year or so ago, and people were like, "This team's not that good. They're not that good." Well, we could be even better because Scottie and Precious get better that quickly. And this is really what's happening. Is it's like the cast of characters doesn't need to change. It just needs to continue to grow up. And as it grows up, we will be better and better, and we will be a top team in this league. I'm sorry. We can do it with the guys that we have right now. And everybody that thinks that we need to go get somebody else, like a Donovan Mitchell, a big move to make it splashy to get us over the top, you're wrong. We got these guys, and they're coming up, and their names are Precious Achua and Scotty Barnes. So be ready as they develop and show up more and more and show off more consistently what they can do. We're going to win, and we're going to win championships because we have the right guys right now to do it. We really do. I really believe this more and more right now. All the problems we've had this year have made people think that this isn't the right core and that we need to blow it up. You're fucking wrong. I'm serious because in some ways, the fact that they went through this storm of adversity and pointing fingers and having problems shows that they are actually all together, all for one, and they go through the hard times like this. In some ways, you're testing them, a stress test to see if this core is good to be together because they get pissed off at each other or they turn their backs or they get mad at each other. No, it didn't happen. And in some ways, that's proving to me that this is a core that you invest in because it does work because they go through a hard time and they don't blow up on each other. That's what I'm saying. So in some ways, that's what I'm thinking right now. All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat's saying, last night I saw the leadership of our young vets on the court. Fred and PASCAL stayed in the background and focused on Precious, Scottie, Gary, and only injected points or timely control of the ball. Well, Fred underlyingly is still like really a puppet master on the court as far as the rhythm and the flow of the game and really just like noticing opportunities. So he is very much still very much controlling and involved, but he has a way of doing it in a secondary kind of role as like kind of like looking over the shoulder. May very much be like a father with a child who's learning how to ride a bike and they took the training wheels off and they're like holding them, maybe walking them for a little bit, but then they let go and they're like, "You're doing it yourself. You're doing it yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it myself." That may be a little bit of what's happening because Fred is still hand holding on like tempo and controlling the game. But these other guys are getting a little bit of a chance to hold the reins on that also in a safe environment with him there just in case. So I like that whole situation of that. And you're right. They are taking more control, Scottie and Precious, and it's really bearing good fruit. And I really like it. I really, really like it. Top of top saying, I love how much we filled it up today. And it's really good. There's a lot to talk about today. Top saying, I still think the way to go is to build around the youth. Scottie, Coloco, Precious, OG, and maybe Gary are the core. Move PASCAL and Fred. You can't afford to keep everyone or lose players for nothing. Well, this is what I'm saying, top. I mean, listen. So whatever it shall be, and I think we can afford to keep them all. So that's wrong right there. And as far as losing players for nothing, I still don't get this whole idea of like, oh my gosh, you don't want to lose somebody because they just leave in free agency and go sign somewhere else. Well, to me, that means you have a money spot opening up and you can put more money on somebody else. And so be it. If somebody decides they want to go play somewhere else, take some more money and go somewhere else, that's them. Go ahead. I'm with the Raptors, but I don't know how many of these individuals are trying to do that. So I don't know. I'm not worried about losing players for nothing. And I'm definitely not worried about whether we can afford to keep everyone because we can. So, yeah. I don't think getting rid of PASCAL and Fred's smart. Really don't. I really, really don't. Because those guys are the two most important guys from our championship year that are still on the team. And that's not smart. That's really not smart. Those guys are too important to keep around for that reason. the championship map. Monique saying, as I always say, there's no one better in a coach. And I always say it as much as it may be annoying. You go ahead and be annoying, Monique, on saying that about Nick Nurse. I am with you. He is the best coach in the league, and I believe that also. And some people may be like, what? You're crazy. Yeah, I can come down on him. I can call him and cuss him out and be mad at him. I don't cuss him out. I have a lot of respect for Nick Nurse. I wouldn't cuss him out ever. But yeah, I can be critical of him, but I still understand what we've got and how good he is. Fiercely Salsera saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Got in late. Great win yesterday. It was such a vibe. It really was. It was that Will Ferrell, this crazy vibe. Like, I'm going to stare y'all down like a comedian would. But in some ways, it's like, all right, am I intimidating y'all, or am I fueling your fun and your fire to have a fun game? Because you get to sit next to Will Ferrell, great comedian, causing silliness in the game. It was such a vibe. It really was, Fiercely. It was fun. It was a really fun game last night. Forgetful saying Philly was losing a lot lately, a lot early in the season. The champ became Fire Doc. One dude with a Sixers fan channel printed Fire Doc t-shirts. Wonder how sales are going. Criticism isn't easy. Coaching is complex. Yeah, well, they wanted to fire Doc for a couple of years now. In fact, we helped that fire from this channel. Last year when we were in the playoffs with Philly, there were a lot of Philly fans in here talking with us, and we would tell them, your coach is the worst. When is he going to mess you guys up later in the rounds and like do stuff? And in some ways, he did mess them up because he left Joel out there when he got hit in the face by PASCAL and he broke his orbital bone. He did not have to have him in the game at that point. They had a good lead. And him playing Joel late did fuck them up. And this did really feed the fire of like, we need to fire Coach Doc Rivers from the Sixers. And a lot of the fans of the Sixers still hate him and they don't trust him as a coach. And this is good reason, because his track record as a coach in the playoffs is failure. And that they look at that. So there's a lot of good reasons why Sixer fans are not big on Doc Rivers. And there's a big percentage of them that don't like him being their coach. And that's fine. That's good dumpster fire problems for Sixers Nation that we don't need here. And yeah, they're still on this tip. Like, they are people that really don't want him to be their coach. They want Sam Cassell to get elevated underneath him and become their new coach. Or they want to go get Dawn Staley and have her be the first female head coach in the NBA because they really like Dawn Staley. And that might be a really good idea. But that's crazy. That is so crazy. Yeah, there's a much bigger movement to fire Doc Rivers in Sixers Nation than to fire Nick Nurse in Raptors Nation. Omar, okay, yeah, not here, somewhere else. Okay, good. I want to clarify, because seriously, y'all matter to me and y'all's opinions matter. And I don't want this to be like known as a place where you can't be negative. That we're such positive Raptor fans that negativity is just drowned out. No. We do see the darkness and the light, but we have to be coming from the right way about it and not, the destructive, like negative way. We can do constructive criticism in a positive way. And I appreciate that, Amari. This is y'all's home, Raptor fans. This is our home. This is our place, our safe space to be who we are and say what we want to say, even if it is not exactly popular or positive about the Raptors. Mike saying, forgetful, big facts. Laughing my fucking ass off. Fire Doc t-shirt sock is down hard at the moment. Not gonna lie, even though he's not the best playoff adjustments guy. Yeah, well, they're having success and they're playing pretty good. They're playing pretty good these days. So yeah, people are more okay with Doc, but I still say he's a horrible coach for them to have. And he's gonna piss them off and he's gonna cause them misery because he's gonna fuck them up somehow, some way. And they'll point fingers at him and be like, why didn't we get rid of Doc? Oh my gosh, we should have got rid of him 2 years ago when we were saying it before. Nako's saying, if you're going out of your way to have discussions, I wouldn't consider you to be a casual fan. No, you can be still, Mike. I mean, Gerald, you still can be a casual fan, even if you're going out of your way to have conversations. Some people just don't have enough to do in their lives. And some people are just miserable. This is what I'm saying. Trolls will do things, and they're not casual fans. They have all the time in the world to come around and troll and be trolls. And they're not real ones. They just have time. And they like doing that. That's their fun thing. It's all about what their thing is. So yeah, you could be having discussions like this, and it's not that you're a casual. It's maybe you're not like a positive, healthy fan. You care and you're involved, but you're not really a casual, but you're a negative fan. Duke saying, I trust in Masai to make the right decisions for the Raps today and for the future. Just like DeRozan, people will be upset, but movement involving our favorite players is coming. Yeah. And I hate it. And that's why I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to think about it. But when it happens, then we adjust. The day that Jonas Valanciunas got traded was a very sad day to me. The day that DeMar DeRozan got traded was a very sad day for me. And that's just going to be the case if we lose one of our main core guys in the near future because of a move. It's just going to be how it is. And it's too bad. It sucks. It's just the business. It's just how it is. But at that moment, when DeMar got traded, I was really upset. And I was like, they fucked up. But then we found out we needed to trust Masai because it was the right move and we won a championship. Blackhawk, I want to apologize that I didn't circle back and get your comment yesterday. I was going to do it and then I forgot. And I really do want you to know that your comment is very much valued and I appreciate you being here. And I'm sorry if I missed your comment yesterday in all the craziness of doing a preview and a reaction. So I'm glad you're back today. It will be interesting to see how Dalano and Koloko will be reintegrated back into the rotation in a few weeks with how the team is clicking. I think in some ways, what we need to start doing as a team is look at we have rotation, we have regular bench guys, Precious and Chris, and then we have part-time rotation guys that kind of jump in as part of like the three guys off the bench other than Precious and Chris, like Koloko, Jeff Doughton, Dalano, Malachi, Thaddeus. They're different looks. Cam Birch, hopefully too at some point. And they're specialty rotation players. Like Koloko obviously has a very apparent specialty for what he can offer in short stints off the bench in rotation minutes. So Dalano has a similar kind of thing. He has a skill set that is good for certain things, and that these guys may get played more down the rest of the season in situational reasons for why we would want them out there. They may not be regular guys that are playing every single game, but there may be a matchup with a team where it's smart to play them or get them in there as far as the partial rotation guys that come in. Like the part-time, I'm going to call them part-time rotation guys. Basically, like Koloko is kind of a part-time rotation guy because he does show up and he was starting for a while this season and he's been shown as having value for Nick to play, but he's not every single game. So he's kind of like a part-time rotation guy. Thad would be a part-time rotation guy. But then you got the full-time starters, and then you got the full-time rotation guys like Precious and Chris, and then you have part-time rotation guys. And I think that Dalano will end up being either end of the bench, not playing at all, or a part-time rotation guy that gets played seldom, but every once in a while he does get in there. And it's because he wants that tempo. He wants that taller point guard, that guy who's going to speed things up a little bit. And there we go. That's what I'm thinking that will happen with this. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Dalano for the rest of the season. I really do I hope that his development continues to go up because right now there's a little bit of stagnation that's going on with him this season. It's not totally his fault. Top saying it's funny. I'm also a day one fan whose first name is Omari. Laugh out loud. And I had a similar experience in this space as I called out Fred very early on. However, he's been playing better recently. Top is all good. I know I've been, in some ways it will come at you and say this and this and this. But listen, you've been here consistently also and very much appreciated as a Raptor freak here. We see your name quite often. Let Me Cook is back. Let me see how much we're cooking today. What temperature? All right. Do you think Joel Embiid is the most disrespected player in the league? It feels like he is the best player in the league this season. What he did to Jokic last night was criminal. Well, apparently what he's doing is taking it out on people for not making the all-star team starters, that he is pissed and that he is taking things out on people at this point. He may be one of the most disrespected players in this league, sure, but he brings it on himself in some ways. You know what? It is very much a key to life. Is a very much listen to this statement I'm about to say. Whatever you put out in energy is what you get back. So if you have good energy, you put out good energy, you'll get good energy back. You're putting out negative energy, you're going to get negative energy back. Well, Joel puts out disrespectful energy, so he gets disrespect back. It's like you get what you put out. And that's why probably he is one of the most disrespected players in this league. It's because he disrespects other people. He disrespects other people on the court. He disrespects other fan nations. He disrespects the referees. He disrespects all kinds of people. He disrespects the game of basketball. So in some ways, he is disrespected because that's what he puts out in the world. He's just getting it back. So yeah, I don't think he's the best player in the league this season. No, he's had some monster games and he's been fantastic at times. But no, I would say Luca. I would say Giannis. I would say Nikola before him. I'm not putting him in the top 5 of the best players this league this year either. I'll put Jason ahead of him even. So yeah, no. And you know what? He's on a tear because he's pissed off. That's what he's going to be doing right now. He wants to prove something because he got disrespected. Well, good. I'm glad he's getting disrespected. Seriously, he is the guy in the league I hate the most right now. Seriously, because the stuff from last year in the playoffs and just the playing stuff is so juvenile and stupid. And then just like him in general, like hurting people all the time because he flops. Like he's the biggest dude on the court. Why does he fall over like a willow? Like he's such a wuss. Seriously, in a lot of ways, he is a very big wussy. And I am annoyed with Joel Embiid. And good. If he's one of the most disrespected players in the league, he should be. He should be. He brings it on himself. David S. is saying, not at all. All right, I love this. David loves Joel Embiid, first of all. I want to tell y'all, he is a big fan of his. In fact, if he wasn't a Raptors fan, he'd be a fan of the Sixers and Joel Embiid. David saying, not at all. I feel like Joel Embiid is a moron and a piece of shit. Yes, David. Yes. He flops. He's an asshole. He can't run past half court without tripping over his own feet. He sounds as dumb as he looks. Idiot. See, this is the thing. David S. is one of the best Raptor freaks on this channel. I love David so much. He's hilarious. But this is the thing. David has an edge. And in some ways, he has not been more vocal in our chats like he was when he first showed up in this channel, because he's a specialty player on our team as the Raptor Freaks. He is the guy who will dog people out or chew people out or insult them, just like what he just did in this. I have nothing to say other than what he is saying right here. You got it exactly right, David S. And I am with you 100%. And thank you, David, for commenting today. I know you're not always vocal here, but you are here. And I appreciate that you will step in and do some dirty work real quick with setting things straight. Now, let me cook. Listen, we're not trying to disrespect you personally. And I appreciate you coming in with interesting questions in the last couple days. Totally different questions. And this is one of them. I don't have any problem with answering this either because it's a fun topic. But yeah, it's like, yeah, don't take David's animosity, what he said, as directed to you. He really hates Joel Embiid. He really does. Trust me. Omar saying Fred's play has been way better and less selfish. Nick has made changes and the team is playing with more pride. Fred still in the media is saying he's a leader, though. Who wants to lead a losing team? Well, he has to, and he is that leader. And listen, he can say it, and there's nothing wrong with that. He is the captain. He would have the C on his shirt. He is the dude, like Chris Boucher who said, he's the only guy on this team that can cuss me out in anger, and I won't get upset because he respects him and listens to him that much. You know, Scottie did that. He'd probably be like, "Fuck you, Scottie. You're younger than me. I'm better than you." Pascal's not like that. But Fred, he can dog Chris out, and he will take it and say, "You know what? You're right, Fred. I want to play better," because he respects and trusts him as a leader that much. So realize that's part of it and stuff. Listen, nobody wants to be on a losing team just in general, whether it being leader or just playing on it. And that's just we got to fix that. Just like Nick Nurse has been fixing things, the team is playing with more pride. This is definitely true. It's hard to go through all the losing that they've gone through this season and keep up for it. You get really weighed down and like you really start second guessing yourself. Your confidence starts getting in worse places. It really does snowball. So I really have to commend the team on pulling themselves out of this really, really bad season to a degree already. And they're going to continue to do it more. because good things are starting to snowball instead of bad things like they were earlier this season. Logical Raptors fanatic saying top of top, hey, day one salute, but it's about fair and using complete contexted facts, not cherry picking or acting like things happen in a vacuum. Understanding the game and real stuff, not ESPN stuff, is key. Yeah, I think Mike's right. And this is a distinction that you have to make. Sometimes people will just see a little bit of something like a talking point that a stupid YouTube channel is putting out there and be like, oh, this. And then maybe I'm guilty of it sometimes. I may not give the whole complete picture, but usually it's in the favor of the Raptors. And that's why we'll allow it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's in the context of everything. And it's not just like picking and choosing what you want to put forth stat wise. The plus minus last night, at halftime, I was worried about Fred not scoring enough because he had 0 points at half. And I was already kind of like deciding, well, his plus minus is fantastic. So if anything, tomorrow, if people are coming at Fred for not scoring a lot, I'm going to tell them, well, look at his plus minus. So I was already gearing up to cherry pick a fact to help in Fred's defense. So that's showing the other way that it can go also. So name is saying, bingo, Lex, 4 firsts for each of PASCAL or OG. That's why I always said teams can afford our services with those lustful eyes. Ooh, I saw you looking at her, Hogan. You had lust in your eyes, Hulk Hogan. Macho Man. Listen, I don't want picks. Listen, I'm very much the anti-pick guy. Everybody loves first-round picks. Ooh, first-round picks. Ooh, so great. Ooh, stockpile them like Oklahoma City and just have a whole bunch of picks on the ranch out in the middle of the country. Yeah, no, I ain't about that. I don't like picks. I don't value them. I value players that are already developed and playing on the team and very good at what they do already. Picks can be whatever, their potential. Sure, they could end up being 4 great picks, but they're usually like 1 good pick, maybe a second okay pick, and then 2 duds. That's what I'm saying. It's like, look, don't sell me fool's gold. I don't give a shit about 4 first-round picks for OG because that's not worth it to me. Because I know what I got with OG, and I have no idea who those 4 names would be in those first-round picks. And I don't give a shit because I'm not a pick miser. I'm not a pick accumulator. I'm not like Schmog in his cave with all the gold sitting on like a whole bunch of first-round picks like the Oklahoma City Thunder. Fuck that philosophy. Does that shit work in this league? Have we seen anybody who stockpiles first-round picks win anything yet? No, we have not. The teams that win stuff have veterans that are already developed and come from other places that develop them. It's almost like half the NBA is farm teams that develop players up that are young, and the other half of the teams are actual contenders with veterans that are playing for actual wins. And I'd rather be more like those teams like Boston and Golden State than like Oklahoma City and Utah now and stuff like that. It's just not, it's not a philosophy that I get behind, and I'm not into it. Nameless, I'm sorry. I love you as a sorcerer and a Raptors freak, but I'm not into the picks or stockpiling the picks. Who gives a fuck about getting picks? I know some people on here have said the same thing that I'm saying. They don't give a shit about getting picks. Shane Waters is saying at Amari, with all due respect, this is not a losing team. This is an unlucky team this year getting blessed by the basketball gods. Yeah, I agree with that. In all due respect, exactly. I mean, we are a good team. We should be a winning team. We've just had very bad luck and bad shooting. And now we're going to get things back together. Logical Raptors fanatic, there is a misunderstanding of Nick and Fred's relationship. Clearly, Fred follows Nick, and Nick gives Fred rope. Fred is on the game plan, and the coaches lay out. Fred is not selfish. Nick calls sets and pushes plays. Fred makes Nick's job easier. Nick makes Fred's job easier. They love each other. Trust me. They have a very special friendship and connection. And in some ways, that accrued time together, 6 years, something like that, however long Fred's been playing in the league, that's very valuable. That in some ways, they can just look at each other and know what each other's thinking. Or be like, Fred can be coming up into timeout and saying, Nick, remember when we did this thing against Detroit that one time when we were playing Casey? Oh, yeah, I remember that, Fred. Let's do that. There's a shorthand that gets accrued through familiarity between a coach and a player that is very, very valuable. It's like Fred can go to another team and play for another coach, and he's going to have to establish a new relationship with that new coach that is nothing like what he's got with Nick right now. So that's another part of the reason why it's good to keep people together for long term. People are so like it's like Tinder culture, Bumble. They're so disposable. Everybody's so disposable. Oh, I can just swipe right on so many people because, or swipe left because I don't like them. Whichever way you swipe, I don't care. There's so many of them. There's so many choices. People take that mentality and they think about it with the NBA. That's not the way to think about it. You want to value your people and very much invest in them and continue to have them around for as long as possible. The NBA is not disposable or like really quick, like Tinder culture. You really got to think about it like these are dudes you're investing in and that you keep them for a while. We've invested in OG, and trading him, you lose some of that investment and you can't get it back. So that's what I'm saying. I don't frivolously want to trade nobody because you can lose a lot more than you gain in those trades sometimes. So let's see. But yeah, I like what Mike's saying about Fred not being a selfish person, and the way that they work with their power structure of coach and floor general is really smart and is effective. It honestly is. Top saying Fred has shown this year he's not a good leader. I can't disagree with that more than ever right now. Honestly, the eye test shows that the young guys are close, and Fred and Pascal are close, but Fred doesn't command the respect that Lowry commanded for him. I can't disagree with your statement enough right now. Honestly, there's two parts of it that I have big problems with. Fred has shown that he's absolutely a great leader, considering how bad our team has been this season with luck, that he kept the ship steady and there's no infighting. There's nobody that's mad at each other. That is successful in itself. And that, listen, he's taking the brunt of the criticism and everything coming at him, and he's shielded the other guys from it because he's the focal point of the hate and the criticism, Fred. So in some ways, he's leading in that way, that he's taking the brunt of the bullshit from everybody. And that's a good leader. I'm sorry. That is a good leader because he's not doing it in a way where he's pissed off. He's like, well, why are you all coming after me? Well, you should be coming after Pascal more. Why aren't you blaming Nick more? No, he's not telling them to blame other people. He's taking the blame and saying, yeah, I could play better and I need to play better and I will play better. And he has. So, yeah, I completely disagree with that statement. Fred has shown he's a better leader than ever this season in adversity. And then second, he does have the respect that Lowry has. Who you fucking crazy if you don't think they don't respect Fred just like they respected Lowry. Yeah, totally off base with these ones. Love you, top. But yeah, you're wrong on those ones. Both of them, very wrong. Let's see. Omari has to be the hardest first name on planet Earth. The hardest, like the toughest. Yeah, or hardest to say. My name's pretty hard to say. People cannot say my name correctly, especially in the South. That was my whole life as a child. Alexis. I'm like, there's no IS at the end of my name. It's Alexi. Oh my gosh. They always wanted to screw my name up. And when I graduated from Florida State University, they did not say my name right. They called me Alexis when they said my name coming to get my graduation and my diploma. That's just how I've dealt with it for all life. But that is a hard name. Like, as far as like, it's cool. I think that's what you mean. Not that it's hard to say. All right, let me keep going. Good stuff. I really like everything. We got a good cross session of different topics today, and I love it. I love it so much. Fiercey saying, I've been seeing this all over since yesterday, and I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Thank you, Miami, for Precious. Yeah, I knew this right from the start in some ways. Right when we got the deal, I said, Goran Dragic is the packing peanuts, and the precious item that we got in the deal from Miami was Precious. Forget about Goran. Everybody wanted to talk about Goran at that time. Goran's this. Well, I would say don't even worry about getting Goran. Getting Precious back for Lowry was enough in its own way by itself. And thank you, Miami. Seriously, if he was still in Miami, they would be talking about Precious Achiuwa like he is the next biggest star, and they would be pumping him all kinds of ways publicly. In some ways, we're glad this isn't happening because he's on our team. And he's under, he's not getting a lot of shine yet, but he will down the road. And thank you, Miami. Thank you very much, Miami Heat. And thank you, Kyle Lowry, for wanting to play for Miami. Duke is saying 100% Lex. I'm not pointing a finger at OG when it comes to roles. I'm saying it's up to Masai, Bobby, and Nurse to find the right formula for efficiency on the floor. I see Barnes being our future focal point. Yeah. I think that's true. I like him as a conduit in the low post, just to go have the ball go through, just like Marc Gasol used to be kind of conduit for us. As far as you go, put the ball through Marc Gasol, good things will happen. He will create, and Scotty's that same kind of player. Yeah, totally, dude. I mean, as far as like I like this analogy. Nick Nurse loves to play the piano, and he plays it at before and after every game. It's something he does to calm himself, keep relaxed. And we could look at the players as notes on the piano, and he just has to figure out the right melody for each game, by which note should be played at which time to make the beautiful music. And that he has the option to play Pascal, Pascal, Scotty, Fred, Pascal, Pascal, Precious, Gary, stuff like that. It's like he's playing the piano and he has to press the keys at the right time in the right rhythm with the right way to make the beautiful music. And that's part of it right there, is just right time to call the numbers on who, on when, at what spot, at what time, and make the most efficient, effective kind of offense for the Raptors. And I love it. I love it so much. He's doing a way better job right now. And I agree. Barnes will be a focal point in our offense in the years to come. Cool Cat saying to win a chip is not easy. We'll be better and faster with Pascal and Fred Chip's experience, even if they go to the bench later on and be old head vets. Lifers, I say. He is their last big. This is their last big payday. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of what Cool Cat's saying here. It's not easy. You want people who've been there and knows what it takes and to do it. And that's Pascal and Fred. And then even if they go to the bench later and they're like somebody like Udonis Haslem or Andre Iguodala, and they're kind of lingering around. They don't play a whole lot, but they're there because they're a link to the past and they're a part of our history and they're part of the knowledge base that we've accumulated on the team. That is a big part of it. You want Fred's head around because he's brilliant. He's a genius when it comes to basketball stuff. And you just want that brain trust in your brain trust. Mike saying, top of top, use facts. That's your opinion based on the facts. Even last night, Little needed to check if Nasir Little needed to check him and if him and Fred were cool. The other team's players have high respect for Fred. Not gonna lie, Fred is respected. Yeah, that's a great example. Nasir Little cared about what Fred thought about him. He's like, "Are we okay? I don't want to piss you off. Seriously, I like you. You're a vet I look up to, even though you're shorter than me. I look up to you, and I want to make sure we're okay. I don't want you to hate me," is basically how Little was acting after that whole exchange with Fred. That is respect. He doesn't just have the respect of his own team. He has the respect of the other team. So that I'd say he's respected. Isaac saying Masai had the right to feel shitty in that Golden State Warrior building atmosphere after what he went through. Yeah, I was thinking about that too when I saw him at Golden State on Friday night. Normal people don't smile all the time. Masai is also quiet because we ain't making any moves. Future. All right. Yeah. All right, Isaac, I'll agree with all this. You're right. It's just that normally it seems like Masai has a certain like positive aura to him, that he has a certain energy around him that's very like like his face is just rounded with smiles and you just get a vibe from him. And right now the vibe is weird with him. That's all I've been trying to say recently. Like I said, it shook me when I saw him come on Raptors tonight, very, very drunk. And I was like, you don't get that drunk unless you're miserable or you're celebrating. Those are the only two ways you get that inebriated. And because as an alcoholic, I really do like have the signs of looking for people that are overly drunk and like wondering why. Because I had to look at myself for why did I get so overly drunk all the time? And that's why I'm like kind of looking at that instance. And it really dismayed me when I saw him like that on that show. Because I'm like, is Masai depressed on the down low? Like, what is going on with him? I want him to be happy. I want to see him strong and proud and beaming with energy that's light out of his face and his body and his body language. I don't want to see him like or like, I understand you're giving him a pass. He has every right. He has bad memories from being in Golden State at the end of when we won the championship and that cop did that bullshit. But still, I know that they got to think and they're maybe concentrating. They're really thinking hard about what they're going to do. But still, for trusting in Masai, you want to see that Masai is happy and confident and strong. And I know he is. And he can't be perfect. But I'll be happier when I see a more positive aura and light around Masai Ujiri right now. Because right now it's not looking right. And Bobby looks like he's working hard, and he doesn't look as upset, and his energy isn't as bad. But Masai's energy is really weird right now. Some ways I can read auras, and Masai's aura is kind of fucked up this season for some reason. I don't know what it is. We may never ever find out, but he's going through something, and it may not totally have to do with the basketball team. Let's just put it that way. Um, Let's see. Monique is saying, hit that subscribe button for Lex. Let's go, Raptors. Keep at it. W Stream. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate you. You're one of my favorites. Paul B saying, can Miles Turner still be traded with his added on years? Yes, he can. It may make it a little more different or difficult in some ways. It may be he lines up more to be traded for somebody like OG or something. I don't know. But the possibility of Miles Turner still being traded, even though he signed this new contract, is still there. Just so you know. And they maybe the intention is still to move him. It's just that they're trying to compensate him in the correct way for what he should be paid. Omar saying, I can make it here every day, but I do definitely feel at home when I'm here. Thanks for creating this atmosphere for us freaks. We salute you, Lex. God bless your life. Thank you, Omari. God bless you guys all, too, on this blessed Sunday morning. Thank you so much for joining me today for a reaction to a great win over the Trailblazers last night. I really do appreciate you, Mari Parsons, and the rest of y'all for sure. Blackhawk saying, no apologies necessary, Lex. I recall you getting to the comment. Okay, so I did double back and get back to that comment. I apologize. All right, cool. I just want to make sure, like, it really does matter to me. And I know that I did the swing where it's like, all right, I'll get you and Jimmy's comment after I come back from doing like the ref report or something. And I was like, did I come back and get Blackhawks comment? I couldn't remember whether or not. I just wanted to apologize just in case. Omari saying, Embiid is the most disrespected. So rude. Clip on his wings. Thanks for saying it as I'm typing. Like, yeah, he gets what he gets. It's the energy he puts out. He gets it right back. Fiercely saying, agreed for Embiid. The energy he puts out is returned to him. Such a clown. Yeah, this is a tough lesson that he's going to learn as a young man more and more. You're going to see him in his veteran years as an older NBA player. He's not going to be like this anymore. He is going to have a point in his career where he decides, I'm a clown and I need to stop being a clown, and I'm going to change that now and stop being an idiot. He's going to have that epiphany at some point. Trust me. And it's going to be funny because everybody's going to remember young Embiid being such a jerk. And then everybody's gonna be like, wow, Joel's so like mature now compared to the way he used to act. Because he's gonna get this, like, he's gonna be humbled. You know, something, all right, this is an interesting thing that came out recently. And I feel like this is so important because it has been a big topic of talk today, these days, trash talk. Now, trash talk, we talked about it recently because of Scottie and him talking about, yeah, I like to talk trash talk. And I think the fans like it, and there's no problem with it. Well, somebody has a problem with it, and they spoke up about it, and they're saying this, and this is why they said what they said. The man is James Worthy, all-time Hall of Famer, champion, Laker, James Worthy, who was known as the silent assassin when he played in the NBA. He was very much a guy who never, ever spoke any trash on the court. In fact, he was famous for this, that he was very, very quiet, and he let his play do his own talking. Well, you know what James has said recently about all the trash talk phenomena and everybody being like, ooh, celebrated or whatever? He said this: trash talk has no place in this game, and that you do trash talk, be prepared to be humbled. That if you are engaging yourself in trash talk in the NBA, you should be prepared to be humbled. And that he never did trash talk because he never wanted to get in a position where he was going to be humbled because of talking trash. And he's right. You can talk trash and be all high mighty, and maybe that day you're right and you can be on top and feel good, but you could talk trash and it can backfire on you real quick, and you can be humbled for it. And that's what I'm saying right here. This is part of what's happening with Embiid, is that you talk some trash, you do a little airplane, you do other theatrics and antics. Well, you're going to get humbled, as James Worthy has put it recently. And he's a very much anti-trash talk person in the NBA world. And it's very interesting to hear him come out of the woodwork and say this recently. You talk trash, well, prepare to be humbled, is what James Worthy is saying. I love it. I love it. I love you, James. Big game, James. Ooh, what a great Laker legend. Mike's saying, weren't people saying that Lowry trade was bad around the time it happened? Yeah, Masai won that trade, and time always shows the truth. And it's about knowing when things are in flux and uncertain. This is funny, Mike. I called that a win for us right away because I knew where Lowry was because we pay so close attention to him and like near the end of his last year here. And I was like, this guy is no way we need to pay him the money. Seriously, let somebody else go ahead and go pay the money. And then boom, we turned around and traded him for a guy that Masai has secretly wanted for forever, Precious Achua, somebody that he's very much liked for a long time from his home country. And yeah, it was just like, this is perfect. We get rid of Lowry right before he's going to get a huge payday and he's going to have a drop off in his game because of age. And we're going to bring in this young stud who has the potential to be absolutely amazing. Yeah, winning. I knew we won that deal right away after it happened, just because Precious, I saw the potential in him, and he has not disappointed me in any kind of way up to this point in the time that he's been on the Raptors. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he is amazing. He's going to be so good. And yeah, totally Masai won that deal, and Kyle got it all worked out. He was smiling and happy about it. We were happy about it. Precious is happy about it. The Toronto Raptors fans, everybody except for the Miami fans. And the Miami people, they're not happy. Winning. All right. Nameless is agreeing with David S. and his very strong opinions about Joel Embiid. I think a lot of us can get behind them, David. When a team can turn water into wine, the first round picks are not as valuable as they may be in another situation. This is a beautiful comment, and he's right. This is what we do. It's not that we're Jesus or anything, but what would Juancho do? But anyway, we can take nothing and make it into something. It's like literally like that with us. Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. These guys are all in some ways very good evidence of this. And I think that this is part of the reason why we don't have to play by the same rules as other teams, as far as like, oh, you got to value the high draft picks because that's the way you get better. No, that's not how we get better. We get better, we get better. And we don't need to rely on those draft picks. And this is what David is saying. And he's exactly right. And I really do appreciate David being active in the chat today. It's fun. Monique's saying, I told Jay Williams off because he has Fred going to the Lakers. Shaking my fucking head. No, this is the thing. Everybody wants our players. Ooh, I've seen Fred in a Dallas jersey. I've seen him in a New York jersey. I've seen him in even that's crazy. Nah, there's no Celtics picture of him in a Celtics jersey. But these guys are getting all photoshopped in different jerseys right now, and we're seeing them all over crazy places. OG, Pascal, and Fred. And it's silly and it's stupid. And in some ways, the push to get either Pascal, Fred, or OG off our team is by people trying to dismantle our 2019 championship team still. That it's not good enough making Kawhi leave. It's not good enough Mark and Serge left. It's not good enough that Kyle and Norman are gone. They want to strip every single champion Raptor off of our roster. And that's why we, as positive Raptor fans and people who really love this team, should be saying, no, we don't trade OG. No, we don't trade Pascal. And no, we don't trade Fred. Because in some ways, them stripping the prestige of having champions on our team from our championship year is part of the way they distance us from when we won it. So there's another good reason why you should support them staying on this team, guys. And I'm with Monique. Fuck you, Jay Williams. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah. Isaac Campbell saying Turner's price is indicative of a player's market. A trade is too expensive right now. Raptors are making sense at the moment too. Risk reward is not worth it. January is grow some patience month for casuals plus Leaf fans. Yeah, Isaac Campbell coming in with the heat. Great statement all around. I completely agree. Miles Turner's deal is good for the players, and it's kind of an early signal to the salary cap changing and going up. But also, I agree with this. Like the risk reward right now is not worth it because, listen, honestly, we're going to start getting rewarded again for this team. And it's like anything in this world. You can say, oh, they were broken and they're not good enough. They're mediocre. Well, they're not performing up to the level that they should normally perform at. And there's good reasons why. And they're not reasons to do with motivation or that they're not good enough to do it. It has to do with luck and injuries. And this is why, like, you go through a tough period. Like, this is where teams fuck up. They may actually be a good team, but they're not exactly working correctly or functioning exactly right. And they get ahead of themselves and they get a little panicky and they make a move that was actually not the good move because they were going to figure it out shortly after that. But they traded somebody away and they made their team worse because of that. And that is exactly why I'm not about a fire sale or overreacting to poor play by the Raptors this year, because I knew even when we were losing last fall that we were not exactly who we were supposed to be. And this is not a good place to gauge on whether we should keep this team together or not. That it's just not the right time or place to think about this. And now things are starting to become more like the reality of what they are. Yeah, I'm so glad we didn't make a knee jerk reaction and do something stupid already. That we're keeping it together and weathering the storm. Very, very smart. And I love your comment, Isaac. Okay, where it was jumped again. Nameless is saying, I just meant the 4 first-round picks with great prospects and immediate impact players. Way too much money for the cheapskate franchises. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Nameless. Ha ha ha. Buongiorno. Monique saying, guys, look at it this way. We can easily go 3-1. Bright spots indeed. You're talking about the rest of this road trip. I don't know, Monique. That's very highfalutin thinking. I hope so. I hope you're right. Now, this is the thing. Monday's game against Pheonix tomorrow is the last game of January. 16 games in the month of January, and our record is 7-8. So we need to win this game so we can be a 500 team for the month of January. And in some ways, that's a good thing because December we were a losing team. And we want to at least be 500. So winning against Pheonix tomorrow is very important, so that we have a 500 mark for the month of January. And I'd like that goal to get filled and be 8-8 after tomorrow night's game. Now, the rest of them, then we'll look at the rest of them. Memphis, Houston, Utah. Those are the games that we're playing, the other games. Yeah, those are all winnable, and we need to take them one game at a time. The Grizzlies are not playing as well recently. All of a sudden, which is not bad, not a bad timing when we go see them. Hopefully they'll be still not playing well. Blackhawk saying, I don't care about who likes who on the team. It's the coach's responsibility to manage multiple personalities and get the team on one page. All this like stuff is soap opera talk. I know, but it doesn't hurt also, because it's the kind of thing like when you're in the trenches with people and you really care about them. It's like in an old war movie, your buddy gets shot and you're pissed off and you're like, no, and you run out and you just like start shooting everybody up. That's what I'm saying. The bond between Scottie and OG is really good because they will do more for each other on the floor because they really like each other. And that's why this kind of stuff does matter. Like if you do, like one of the things that I worry about is like some people don't pass it between each other. I won't say exactly who is doing this on our team right now, but if you pay really close attention, you'll see that somebody does not pass to somebody else on the team for sure. And there may be little rivalries or little feuds on the down low, but they're not paramount or blowing things up. And it's all still very functional. That you have to manage these kind of things in between players all the time as a coach. You're exactly right. So hopefully, that's what I'm saying is that Nick Nurse has to manage everything all in the whole grand scheme of things. But it does matter if the guys like each other. I know that it seems frivolous or you don't care. It's a lot of times players don't like each other and they play very well together and get along on the court. And that doesn't matter. But also at the same time, when they do really like each other, they will ride or die or like fall on the sword for each other. That's powerful too, because you get some sort of sacrifice and beyond the scope of ability because you're doing it for them, for your other guy, for the guy next to you. You can get even more motivated that way. So it does matter to a degree if you do like your teammates. But you can also function without liking each other too. I will give you that. Mike's saying Lowry took the blame and the brunt of a lot. He was Lowry the whole time. People just have unrealistic demands of players in general. And one guy takes the bulk of it, helps the younger guys understand what it takes to lead. Yeah, how much pressure, how much crap you got to take. This is precious. And Scottie don't have to deal with the same kind of pressure that Fred and PASCAL have to deal with. This is just the damn truth. And Fred didn't have to deal with this pressure in the championship year as much as Kawhi and Kyle did at that time. So it is very much like that. And Fred is just stepping in those shoes, and he has to take that brunt of the criticism that Scottie doesn't have to take yet, but he may have to down the road himself. So that's just how it works. Nameless says Lex gets that Toronto Raptor treatment with the pronunciation of his name, like Maliki Flynn. Yeah. Listen, growing up in the South with a Russian sounding name, oh my gosh, it's so funny. I mean, I talk about this because I'm very open about this, but one of the last times I got a DUI and they had the rest recording, the cops, and like I'm in the cop car in handcuffs in the back. I won't talk about the whole situation when it's led up to it, but I'm basically in a cop car and they had the camera, and I can watch this later because my lawyer gave me a CD of it. Actually, I still have the CD-ROM somewhere around here. I could just watch my arrest from like 2010, one of the last times I got arrested for DUI. The last year I drank. I have not drank alcohol for 12 years now. So, actually, it'll be 13 this year. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sitting in the car and I'm listening to these guys. They have my license and they're like, "What is this name?" This is in Florida. "It sounds like a Russian name. I think I heard this name on Jeopardy once." It's like, is this even his real name? What is this? How do you say that, Alex? I don't know how to say this. It caught the whole exchange between the two cops, and I was in the car, so I didn't hear them. It was so funny to watch them like look at my ID and try and figure out how to say my name. With all the news with police down the states, yeah, this is the people that are in charge, people like that. Let's see, Drunk Masai. When did this happen? It happened on an episode of Raptors Tonight after the game. Masai was at Real Sports with Jack and Randy Urban and Paul Jones and, Eric Smith, that whole crew. And he just happened to be there. This was in December. I think it was right before the Giants of Africa event that happened last fall. He was drunk and noticeably drunk on Raptors Tonight. And it really bothered me as somebody who's in AA. It really bothered me to see him that inebriated on TV. And, he was happy, kind of drunk, but it was also like, why is he so shitty drunk? Like, I was like telling him, pick up some of that food in front of you. They got all that food on Raptors Tonight, and they don't eat half of it. Masai, eat some of that chicken, eat some of that pizza, get some of them fries, whatever in front of you. Just get some food in your belly because you got too much alcohol in your belly and not enough food in your belly. And that's what I was thinking at that time. Mike saying Masai was celebrating the bag he's going to get after the sale of the Suns went through. Teams' values went up, and he's getting a legit piece now. Well, yeah, his new contract, the way he's getting paid, the thing that Ted Rogers III hates so much. Yeah, I don't think that it was celebration though. He seems sad. That's what I'm saying. It's like you can tell when somebody's a happy drunk or when they're kind of a depressed drunk. And that's what I'm saying. He just seemed like a depressed drunk that night. That's why I didn't like it. Top saying, isn't it possible to win a trade and improve after said trade? See the chip season. The right trade could definitely set this team up long term. That should be the ultimate goal. I'm okay with this, and that's true. Yeah, you can get a trade that works, and it does really put you over. But there's also a lot of chance of failure in trades. Also, I mean, look at Rudy Gobert right now in Minnesota. What a disaster for the Timberwolves in some ways. You can pull that trigger, and in all intents and perfect purposes, it seems like it's the right thing, and it's going to be a home run no matter what, and it just isn't. That's what I'm saying. It's always unknown for sure whether a trade is good or not. It could feel like it's good and all kinds of stuff. Like that was a big gamble, the Kawhi trade. Like we had no guarantee that he even wanted to come and show up and be here. He could have sat out that whole entire year and waited for the next summer and some bullshit trumped up injury thing that he's saying. So I agree. You can upgrade your team really quickly with a trade. Like Marc Gasol was a great trade for us to get the championship. That was the upgrade that helped put us over the top to win that championship in 2019. And it was sad to see Jonas go, but it was very calculated and very smart for the needs of what we wanted in the short term to win that championship that year. Usually that's the kind of deal that I like. A deal like what we did to get Marc Gasol. That's a one last little piece that makes sense, very close to the time when you're going for it, and it just puts you over the top. The Blue Jays have done this kind of stuff in their history as a baseball team, where they're a contender, and during the trade deadline, they make some big splash addition that makes them even more premium good, that gets them a chance to make some more postseason noise. And those are the kind of deals I like. Gasol kind of trade like that. But I don't like a big frivolous trade just because we're in a bad place. I want to make a trade because we're in a good place and we want to get even better. And it's a slam dunk to make us better and put us at the championship level. So, yeah, I agree with you. The trade can make you better, but it is also a risk reward that is a very risky thing also at the same time. That Masai deal for Kawhi with DeMar could have blown up in his face, and it could have been his career. Seriously, if that had not gone right, that could have been his career right there. Trading DeMar for Kawhi, and that whole season had gone horrible and really bad. He might not have been around our team at this point if that had not gone well. Mike saying 10-year anniversary of Masai coming to the Raptors in 2013. He's completely changed the Raptors, and I got plans for that drop. But reflecting on that soon coming date, it's unbelievable what Masai has done. Yeah. Yeah. He made our team into what it is. He can singularly be pointed to as the head of the leadership that did what they did to make the Raptors who they are today. In fact, I am indebted to him in some ways, like a lot of ways. Like he's somebody that I really, 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 really appreciate. Like I have so much self respect and esteem for him just because of what he's done for my favorite sports franchise. When Masai showed up, it really was exactly when things got better for us. And you can point to that 10 years of Masai. Thank God. Let's see. Monique saying on Raptors Tonight live stream, Edmund's so good ahead of the Giants of Africa night. It was funny. Yeah, okay. She's answering Edmund about that. Yeah. Fiercely saying, great example of trash talk gone wrong is Devin Booker with his Luka special comment. Got humbled real quick at the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. James Worthy said, you talk, you are writing checks that can get cashed and you could get humbled real quick. So don't even put yourself out there like that. Just be silent assassin and less distraction, less bullshit. I don't mind Scottie having a bit of a trash talk to him. In some ways, it is really good part of his personality. And I know it's in a good way. That it won't hurt us in some ways. He's smart about it to a degree. But, there's a balance. In some ways, I'm like, I don't like trash talkers, but in some ways, it's like that trash talker is kind of like the edgy kind of street ball, kind of like tough kind of nosed guy that we want because they have a competitive edge and they can back it up. First of all, if you're going to talk trash, you better be able to back it up to a degree, or you're not having any license to speak out there. So, in some ways, being a trash talker means you're a good player. All right, let's keep going. Isaac saying, my question is, how can the Clippers and Lakers both feel they can acquire Fred to fix their future? I don't know. I'm not even looking at that noise. Honestly, to be honest, I know there's a lot of it out there, but I'm not even looking at the deals. So I can't specifically tell you how that would help them or anything. Obviously, Fred on any team's going to help them. He would very much help the Lakers get their shit together. Trust me. Even though they have a lot of vet point guards on that team already, he's a different flavor of it. The Lakers fans are believing that Fred would come in and make every single person on the Lakers team that much better if they got him. That's part of the reason why they really want him right now. Is somebody has told them, Fred comes here, he's going to make every single player we have existing on this team a better player all of a sudden. And that's probably true. Mike's saying, top, it's about timing and value. If a deal that's a no-brainer when Masai takes it, but the window was closing on the Lowry DeRozan team, and trades are last resort when time is limited in the window. Yeah, I think that's accurate, and that's right. I think that's right, Mike. And it really is a timing thing, and you don't want to do it out of desperation. That's just the way in anything in your life. If you're in a bad place, you don't want to make big life decisions just because of that decision, like where you are in your head. You could be absolutely suicidal and depressed, and bad decisions can be made. And that's why you don't want to make them when you're too high or too low. You want to make them in a very sound spot where you're in a place where you can make it out of not desperation or in reaction to bad things happening. You want to make it because you're building the future, and it's the right, positive, smart move to make. Not because you're scared and you're like, oh no, the team's below 500. I'm freaking out. We just have to make a move. We just have to do something. This is how some fans are thinking right now, and it's stupid. That is weakness, and that is folly, and that's the way you become a shittier team. Is when you make moves in that mindset, in that place. It's really not a good time to do it. Nameless is saying, totally correct again, Alex, into what they want to strip the Raptor squad of champions, like the old Acura in the hood. It's true. I mean, Kawhi right away, they were like, no, we cannot be there again because they will repeat. And then, Mark and Serge, when they left, it was so fishy. And then, we've lost an off season, and I hate this. We didn't lose any last off season, thank God, because that would have been really pissed me off if we had lost PASCAL last off season and Fred, and we only had OG and Chris from the championship years. That would be really weird, and we do need to keep them around. Nameless saying vultures want to strip our champion parts. Yeah, they cheat off our test and try and take our good things and add them to their team and just think that that's going to add up to their championship. Top saying fans say they trust our drafting and player development, but when you talk a small rebuild, they say we could mess up drafting. If we trust our management, then we should trust them to draft right. I mean, all right, let me answer this fairly top. I do trust the way we draft. Look at our last two drafts, Koloko and Barnes. It's just what I'm trying to say is this. Victor Wembanyama is a big prospect, and some teams are really kind of like trying to figure out their future this season and some of the things that they're doing, partly because they know that he's a prize at the end of the year. Well, you could get that prize. You could get the number one pick. You could tank on the down low and get the number one pick and have Victor get drafted to your team. And then he has an injury and he never, ever plays in the league ever. There's names like Sam Bowie, Greg Oden, different names from the past that were very high draft picks that didn't do jack shit in the league. Nothing is guaranteed. And this is why I keep saying this. This is an old adage, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. It's very true in the NBA because you could have one good OG in your hand and you could get 2 first-round picks, or in this case, 4. And those 4 birds in the bush, you don't know. One of those birds could be dead already before you get it in your hand. There's no perfect way of doing this. And there's always a room for error with unknown players coming up. You don't know, like you could do all the personality profiles and everything, but there could be a problem with them, with the team, and it doesn't work, So that's what I'm trying to say. Sure, I trust Masai and Bobby to draft well when we have to draft. But in some ways, I don't want them to rely on having to draft a lot of young players. And like it's more like we do quality over quantity. If Oklahoma City is quantity and first round picks and getting as many as possible and just stockpiling young guys, that's quantity. Well, we want quality. We don't want a lot of first round picks, but when we do have a first round pick, we want it to be very smart in how we use it in a quality way. That's what I'm saying. So it's kind of like quality over quantity. We're a quality and we do make the right deals, but I don't want a lot of quantity, like 4 first round picks all of a sudden. It's like we get 3 first round picks in a draft, like the Thunder do sometimes. What the fuck are we going to get playing time for these guys? Or be able to even use these guys to develop in certain ways? There's not a path like that because of the way our team is. You can't just have like 4 new rookies come into the Raptors next year. It doesn't work. Somebody's going to be odd man out, and it's going to be a wasted pick anyway because the time and the resources just aren't there for them. So I will go quality over quantity with draft picks every single time. Mike is saying winning drives the development, so acquiring talent through losing isn't a cost risk factor of stalling the development of the picks and guys you have at the moment. A future guy versus Scottie, Precious, and Koloko get good. Yeah. I mean, you just get bad habits when your team is losing and you get a losing culture and people just don't care as much. You get to look like Dame Lillard did during the game last night. You don't want that. You don't want to get like apathetic and jaded is what it is. It's apathy and jaded cynicism gets born from constant losing and you want to keep winning. All right, Monique's saying 3-hour Lexathon. Yeah, over 3 hours is a good victory. We're going to talk for a bit. I do need to go get lunch. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate you. And we love and support you also. Name is saying, here's what I think you're. Oh, you took it back. Why'd you retract it? I was reading it, bro. Blackhawk saying Wemby, Scoot, and anyone else will still need development. Too many people want a magic solution instead of respecting the hard road of building from the ground up. Oh my gosh. This may be the most poignant, important statement made all today. In this society today, everybody wants it fast and quick and right away. And the thing that we're doing is like the journey of OG, the journey of Fred, the journey of Pascal, the journey of our young guys underneath them has been hard, and it's ups and downs. And that is why it's like anything worthwhile, it takes time and you have to work through it. This instant gratification culture of today's world does not apply to the NBA. And this is why these casual Raptor fans that have crazy ideas about how we can get better quickly are stupid, because they don't understand it takes time to develop and make good things happen. And thank God our team management and front office understands this, and they're not crazy in shipping guys different ways. I love it. Thank you, Blackhawk, for the comment of the day. Honestly, it's like they're going to need development. Wemby, it's not like Wemby's going to show up tomorrow and make a team, a playoff team all of a sudden. He's got to figure out how to play in the NBA. And even if he's going to be a very good NBA player, he probably will be, but still, there's going to be a learning curve and time where he has to adjust and get better. Yeah, there's no quick magic solutions to winning NBA championships. And the way we're doing it is the right way. And all y'all that want to go a quicker route by selling assets that we have, that we've developed and built really good value into, that's not the way to do it. In fact, that's taking steps back in a way from getting closer, to, in my opinion. Anyway, Mike's saying acquiring talent through losing isn't smart at a cost risk factor of stalling development. My bad. W Streamlex, go Raps always. Thanks, Mike. And check out Logical Raptors Fanatic. All right, let me just go really quick, since I got to the end of the comments finally. Just a real quick recap once again. My 3 stars of the game are Precious Achua, Scottie Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. Really good job by the front court for the Raptors in the game last night. Very good, equitable stuff. Good stuff from Freddie, too, is like kind of stepping back and sharing the ball more and not scoring as much himself. And Gary, very solid. Good scoring. He's the relief valve for offense. If we're in trouble with the bench unit out there, he is a guy who will get a basket no matter what. The bench was very interesting. Chris Boucher, good job. Thaddeus Young, very solid in 9 minutes. Hernan Gomez got a 3, played good. And then those guys that got in at the end of the game, really fun to see Ron Harper, Jeff Doughton, Malachi, and Christian get some fun, positive things in garbage time right at the end of the game. Solid performance by Dame Lillard, 30 points. But yes, there's some things he did not get to do because Fred bothered him and did not let him get as much as he would have liked. He got 60 in the game before. Well, we got him to only get half of that. And that may have been partly because of Fred. Jeremy Grant, fantastic young player. Very impressed with him last night with 26 points. But otherwise, nothing really of really superb note from the other side with the Trailblazers. Really not good scoring overall by their team. Just a couple of guys showing up for them. Fantastic job, Raptors, against Portland last night. Keep it going. Keep the good vibes going. You guys are heading in the right direction. And now, if we can beat Pheonix tomorrow, this will be a really good thing that's going on, because that means we're 3-1 on this road trip so far. And I want to get as much winning in this road trip as possible. So, Suns, you're up next. We will come and see you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, we're coming to beat your ass. Isaac saying, pointing the finger at OG is really the last straw, grasping at straws for the haters. Yeah, I need lunch. Top saying, I have a long-term view, and that's why I want the young players, but the young players who is more likely to be a high-level star. Cost risk of being a treadmill team is way worse. Listen, I know people say that treadmill teams, you want to worry about being mired in mediocrity in the middle of the standings. And that's part of the reason why you have to get a very high draft pick, because it balloons you up to the top. I don't believe all that. I still don't believe all that. And listen, the realistic gauge of where we should be in the standings is we should be a top 5 team in the East. That is really where we should be if everything had gone according to plan this season. And I think improving in the top 5 to being number 1 or something like that is not going to be around the mediocre. We are seriously one of the top 5 teams in the East on the down low. That in reality, that's just what it is. The record may not show that, but it is just true. The way we play and the level of play and what we're capable of is that's where we actually are at. So I don't say that we're mediocre right now. I mean, our record is bad. We're actually a bad team technically, but we're not even a mediocre team. We're a very good team, and that we're closer to the top than we are from the bottom, even though on the records we're not. Like in the standings, we're not right now, but that's not the actual true real thing. That's what I'll say about that. Race Mode saying, I'd like to see Fred get his contract now just to see his haters' heads explode. That's what I want to see. Yeah, I like that too. I think that's fun, Edmund. Amari saying, great show. Have a good day, everyone. Have a blessed Sunday, everybody. Thank you. Blessings from everyone. Randolph Phillips, I know you weren't here today, but blessings to the Raptor Freak family from Randolph Phillips and the rest of us for sure. Monique saying, enjoy the chapters, Tom. He loves doing the job. Honestly, he wanted to do it, and he actually really enjoys the challenge of doing it. He has no problem. Go Raps. Go trivia champion David Saborin. Let's see you keep going. You better show up for that Tuesday coming up soon. Nameless is saying all first-round selections are not created equally, so 4 firsts from Masai is not necessarily the same value for another team. Yeah, that's a good distinction also. Tom's laughing at Monique. He's got all of his Raptors out. I love it. Mike's saying Golden State don't even use those tank picks and have spoiled them. So what did they really get from sitting Clay and Curry? Time tells the truth always. It's a good point. Wiseman and Kuminga are not the guys coming to save the Warriors. And Cool Cat saying, enjoy the rest of the day, Rabbit Free Crew. Back at it tomorrow. Thank you, Cool Cat. And yes, if you enjoyed my stream today, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Peace out to you, Blackhawk. I appreciate all y'all. Have a great Sunday, and I'll be back to get everything set up for the Pheonix game tomorrow night. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody. Thanks for all the comments and the really good talk about constructive criticism and the differences between where your heart is placed and what you want for the team and stuff like that. You just have a grudge against Fred because you don't like him for some reason. Yeah, your heart is not with the team. Your heart is with hate and just being a hater. So you just go ahead and hold your tongue. Y'all have a great day. Let's go Raptors!